Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I know it takes a moment for everything to sync. So I'm going to drink a little cup of, let's see. You have filled my heart with greater joy. That's what I'm drinking. Hi, who's here with me? I know it takes a moment for the links to refresh and for everybody to get the memo. And I see you starting to come on. You're coming on from all over. We get to see some of where we're streaming. Tiffany, good morning. So what was your big takeaway? Well, first of all, Tiffany, where are you watching from? Hi, Al. Both of you, put it in the comments. Where are you watching from? And I want to hear one big takeaway from it could be from yesterday, from our event so far. I know it's final day, New Mexico, Malaysia. Tiffany, that's so cool. You know, the shelter that we're stand for is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And what's the weather like, Al, in Malaysia? Tell us. And if you're just hopping on, I want to know where you're watching from. And if you've watched all 3 days that preceded this, or you watched yesterday, your core takeaway. Thank you so much, Al. I'd love to know what it touched in you. And there's a reason I'm asking. It's because, it's one thing in the moment when we're receiving things, but when we say them out loud again, we receive them at a different level. It's also very generous, but your brain goes, oh, this is what I got. This is what I received. It kind of it's just like if you write it down, if you draw it, if you sing it, if you dance it, your reticular activating system is like, oh, this is important. And then it's generous to both the speakers and to the other participants. It gets you more engaged too, right? It's easy to be passive on these things, which you haven't been. You've been commenting. It's hot and rainy. I actually love that weather. I like Miami, Egypt. I lived in all those places. I was freezing in California. Betsy, I see you drinking in the green room with me. So, Al, I want to know specifically what was touched in you and what it activated in you, because that helps me know what's landing and it helps me serve you better. Let's see. Yes, ma'am. It means a lot to me. We're doing something for the kids so close to home. It's easy for me to translate the problem in the US as all our home are fired up about us taking care of kids everywhere. Oh, you've got a great tribe. You've got the vibe of the tribe in your home, and there are people praying for that. They're like, I'm so alone in my home. You know why? I think opposites attract often, right? And we're attracted to our opposites often to balance out, to integrate what we're disowning. There are all kinds of reasons depending on who you're talking to. I think it's important to have the same core values, but great teams, they're often have different and opposing skill sets. So let's see. Al, and who else is here? So we have Malaysia in the house. We have Tiffany in the house. I want to start with your core takeaways. And if you're new today, just put new in the comments so we know what's going on. Be sure to share. It takes a moment. When you have thousands of people on your email list, it takes like a moment. Dan is in the house. Dan, are you new to the event today? I know you're not new to our community, but are you new to the event today? But what happens with emails is that once you grow a list, you could try to blast them out all at once, but they don't go out like that. It's like it's rolling. It's rolling. Red is color, visually connected is with your lipstick. Had a minor slip running to my car a couple days back during raining with my knees bleeding. Oh, so sorry to hear that. Yeah, so Betsy, if you weren't here, and those of you that weren't here, if you were here, say here. And it's all right if you weren't here, because the replays will be up for a while. A VIP will get those in a place so they don't have to go searching through Facebook or YouTube. But we have covered a lot. We started with Les Brown, who opened so powerfully and really ignited inspiration, power, grit, all those things. And we've gone through so many things, from the course whisperer to the webinar whisperer to sales farming, real strategies from people that are, many of them are award winning at ClickFunnels. So they won the 2 Comma Club or the $10 million award, and they're giving you their how do you do it. We saw Marley Jacks, and wow, I did go watch her movie about it's you can go on YouTube. It's a 30-minute movie, and it's about the cancel culture. And she canceled herself and went through the real emotions of hateful comments and friends and family. Who was her friend? Who wasn't her friend? It was very powerful. And she talked to us. I'm going to read that in just a moment. She talked to us about what it is to be an understanding culture, and also how to build powerful YouTube videos and bring people on an adventure, instead of just like, here are my 3 points. I do a lot of those videos, but she's inspiring me to shift. Here are the 3 points to da 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 da. Take action, like it, share it, whatever. Do you like the dance that goes with that? It's kind of a robot, but not. Windshield wipers for the rainy Malaysia day. Yeah, so we really got so much, and today we have a lot in store for us. We have, April Beach will be coming up in a while, and she teaches people how to take, those of you who are content creators, write content, or your coach, consultant, whatever. I want to know in the comments what you actually do. That's a good opportunity to be seen and let other people see you. But she helps people license their work. So she has one client that they took the person's 8-part communication system and licensed it for $56K, and then 1.2 million to another bigger organization. And she says it's a lot easier than we think, and that it's like a gold mine in the backyard of, people like many of you who have written books, have communication, leadership, Betsy in the background, teams. So I'm really excited about that. We have Yasmin Saad, Dr. Yasmin Saad. She's a lead psychologist. We have so many people. I'm going to read this comment. I'm starting to feel conflicted. Like, I stepped over this comment. I asked for it. I need to listen. Okay. Tiffany said, this activated me to really dig deeper into what I want to create and advocate for. Getting to hear Les say, stay hungry, getting to hear how your testimony of faith has carried you through every step of your journey, including your own mistakes. And Hoy saying that they don't fight, they teach. They teach. They have mastered not fighting back by teaching people how to bring their own strength front and center and not losing. That was powerful. Hoy's Jiu-Jitsu family. Yeah, that was so powerful. I can help people with pain relief even from a distance. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So you do energetic healing prayer. There's so much science around prayer and healing. They've done double blind, triple blind, I forget how many blind studies, because it's been, I don't know, probably 4 years since I listened to this podcast on Oprah. But she had a doctor on that did a study where they had people praying for people. They didn't know they were being prayed for. They didn't know who they were praying for. And the real shifts in their health and their vitality and their bounce back and their immune system and their healing, measurable. And yeah, it's just so cool. It's so cool. And it reminds me in this moment that, the act of prayer, or some people affirming is prayer, actually thoughts. I believe your thoughts, every thought we're thinking is a prayer. It's just some are more energized when we stop everything and put a lot of focus. It becomes a little, more laser. But we're thinking all day long because we're co-creating reality. A girlfriend just sent me that in Jewish culture, abracadabra means I speak, I create. That's what it means. I speak, I create. And so we're all speaking something in here, out there, and it's sending, into the universe. But so I've known that it's for us. It's for what it moves inside of you, and the harmony, the way the cells start aligning, the way the energy shifts. But it's so cool to know the studies that it impacts the other, even if the other doesn't know that they're being prayed for. And I'm so thankful for all the people before me that prayed for their children, grandchildren, future children. It's pretty cool. All right, who else is here? We're going to be getting started. We are started, but what we're starting with is you bringing your voice forward into the conversation by owning and claiming first your space and your part in the community, by raising your hand, saying who you are, what you're getting, what you're gaining, by dialoguing back. So I get to know you and receive from you, and the speakers do. And also, it's a way for us all to recall what we got out of the past few days. Dr. Anissa Holmes, First Dental Impact Influence Coaching. Yes. Yeah, say more about that 80-20 principle. That was so cool. She, speaking about her, I loved that she not only became super successful herself by setting a vision, creating this magnificent life where she can take a month off with her kids and travel and do all these things. And you'll find a lot of the people here do, because the entrepreneurs I tend to be most attracted to are really about having a complete life. So not just career accolades, but we go all in on every part of life that we say matters to us. So if we say gardening matters, we make time for gardening. If we say our spiritual life matters, we make time for it, our health and our family. And so while I don't think it's the perfect life balance that people sometimes try to sell, like, oh, you're going to have equal, because in entrepreneurship, there are seasons where you are really full on, but it's about the rhythms, kind of like, Hoist Gracie was talking about, and about the rhythms of, my fiance does Ironman competitions. So there are rhythms where he's building up into a training, and then there's certain days where his training is 12 hours long as he's getting closer, right? And then there's the big game, and then there's a tapering off, and we just go back to the 7 days a week of working out for an hour, and it feels really easy. And so there are rhythms of intensity. And that's true about entrepreneurship as well, in my experience. And that's why you'll find, like, a lot of people will say, we heard one entrepreneur, I forget which one, someone remind me if you remember, but he said, I work 6 to 7 months out of the year. I'm traveling. So half the year he's traveling, he's gone, he's like out a week, in a week. But then when he's home, he's home. And that's half the year. So it doesn't look like the normal, I get, this much time at work, then I come home and and Shanda Sumter, she inspired me. Fridays off, weekends off, and the last month of the year off. Now back to Dr. Anissa. I think I'm going to switch, and instead of December taking off, take a summer month off, so that I have my kids and I have all the summer activities, because they're not able to take all of December off. So what I was going to say about Dr. Anissa, she inspired that, but she also inspired that she created massive success. So millions of dollars from dental hygienist to this whole life of freedom, meaning, impact, a home for her family. And then she went through a divorce, got in the middle of all that, by the way. And then she got, I don't know if it was remarried but a new partner that started attending all of these workshops with her. And he caught the bug of what's possible when you believe in yourself, when you go all in on your dreams, when you dig and go, what do I want to create? Who do I want to be? And for him, part of that was entrepreneurship. And as he dove in, now he's having $10, $20, $30,000 months for the first time in his life. He took them all on a cruise, and he took his kids to Puerto Rico. He took his kids, and they hadn't been there in years. He's from Puerto Rico. And what I love about that story, especially as a powerful woman, and I'm surrounded by a lot of powerful women, and several of my friends and mentors even that are women are the core earners in their home. And many of them, just like me, and this is why I was so attracted to Shanda Sumter when I first started working with her, is many of them, hold on, let me give these real quick because I invited someone on. Let me see, let me give him the link, paste. I'm going to come back to that. We're going to have a surprise guest. So many of them, like me, are also drawn to very alpha men. So, sometimes you see the woman is super powerful. She's the leader, and the guy is totally happy nurturing the kids and being the stay-at-home dad. And not that that's not alpha, but what I mean is their energies balance, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like, she's very strong and driven. He's very gentle and usually the meditating one. And, like, let's have some romantic time, and he's writing poems, and she's like, what are you, right? Like, that's one archetype. There are so many archetypes of couples. But then there's another realm, and I'd love to know if you're a powerful woman or a powerful man, you identify with any of these scenarios. I'd love to see it in the chat. And then I have a special guest. And I'm going to ask team, Lisa, can you send me the day 4 guest link on the WhatsApp so that I can send it over to our guest? I'm so excited that he's coming. Okay. So then there's another archetype of couples, right? And that is like Shanda, where she was the main person bringing millions into their home through her impact and her legacy and her work, and her man, also an Iron Man, top of the game in the corporate world, bossing up with major brands. I can't remember if he was a key executive at Red Bull or what his deal was, but they're both like fiery and, like rah, and that's a whole other dynamic, is how, and often in those dynamics, I just love finding the couples that find a way to work it out. And what I loved about Dr. Anissa is that rather than going, you know what, we're not on the same page, I'm an entrepreneur, he's not, or that she inspired him, and now he is rising in his own version of leadership. And none of this is right, wrong. Any scenario that works for you, all great there. But I just love that her story was one where not only is she super successful, but she started taking her man to all these events, and now boom, his business and his life has taken on a whole new thing. And that's another model, right? It doesn't have to be an either or. There are so many versions of expression. And I love, love, love when we elevate and activate in our partners and raise. So that was really great. Okay. So one more, let's see. Tiffany says, I love seeing people together who honor each other's strengths and get to be completely themselves with each other. And they have their own sweet spot for balance to come. Yes. Yeah. Isn't that great? It's really great. And it's adventurous, especially if you're both on growth patterns, because it's like you're meeting new people. You're meeting new people all the time. And I even tell my friends in my inner circle, even whatever you think you know about me, like, don't label me, because you're holding me back then. I'm on a growth cycle. Like, that was last week. That was last month, and so it's been a nice joke. Okay. So I'm going to get this link to our special guest, and we'll see if we can catch him before our first guest, who I'm so excited about. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Well, more soon, not now. I'm going to tell him not now, because we have our next guest in the background. So I'm going to hold it. You all will have to wait. So, okay. So our next guest, who is in the green room, I'm super, super excited for you all to hear from, Dr. Yasmin Saad. She is a friend, a colleague. She is also in Les Brown's inner circle. She's a leading psychologist who is not only a leading psychologist and award-winning in New York, been on New York billboards, all these different magazines. Seems like every day someone's featuring her. She has some award going, and you're like, where are you? Oh, I'm in Paris with my family. I'm on vacation. So talk about the balance. But she actually trains other psychologists and has been this great bridge between Eastern and Western philosophy, between different cultures. And also, one of the things that I love is because she works with so many leaders and has built such a great entrepreneurial business herself, I thought, like, what a great person to have talk to us today, because if you've been an entrepreneur for more than 3 months, it's like, who am I hate myself. I love myself. I'm winning. I'm a loser. Especially in the beginning. Okay. Then it stabilizes. You get like, okay, this is the rhythm. I'm all right with this. Right. But even there, when you go from 10K to 100K months to $1 million months, for every place there is a new set of emotions, and your worldview, the person driving the ship, whatever's going on mentally, emotionally, that is how far your capacity goes, or where it sabotages back down to. So psychology and the ability to understand and work with those evolving versions of yourself, I think, is one of the most important things to understand, to work with. And so I'm so excited to have Dr. Yasmin Saad with us today. Hello.
Hi, Adora. How are you?
Very good. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to be here. So excited to be here, and so honored by your intro. Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Well, you're really, really very good at what you do. You're a psychologist known for just one session is what many people need from you. And then they might come back years later, and you have a philosophy that's very different than this kind of, I don't know how psychologists stay in business just doing one session, but can you say a little bit, anything you want about why that, or anything you want to share before I start asking questions?
Sure. So the first part for everyone, Adora introduced me so well. But one thing maybe you don't know as much about me is I was a pioneer in the field of psychology. That 11 years ago, I decided to expand my realm and open a group practice. And so from having no business expertise to now running a multi-million company, I have a lot of experience with entrepreneurship and the business and the psychological part of this. So that's what I want to talk about a bit today. So Adora started us with one session. My point was you can help people very fast. And the field is not as effective. Patient kept coming to me, upset what other psychologists were doing in terms of they had to look at their past, they had to spend many sessions giving information before getting help, and I felt it's not good. So I started training psychologists and getting them on board in my practice. And we started doing this, healing people within one session. And as Adora said, most people like, how can you build a business that way? So the perspective that I have is everything in your life is coming to fulfill you and to bring you to the next potential. So if you tap in your zone of talent, you will naturally have so much coming your way. And so what prevents usually people from getting there is doubt, not knowing themselves, not knowing their strength. So I remember when I started, people thought I was crazy. They thought that that's not a business model to be so effective. And I thought, no, but the goal is to help people and to help them in the most efficient way. And we've been the most successful of all the group practices in New York City, because if you come to see us, you'll have a short treatment that is so successful that you're going to tell your friends, you're going to tell your family. So we have way much more business actually than sometimes we need. So I'm here to share with you the entrepreneurial journey, how to get there and what it took me to get there. So the first step is in this entrepreneurial journey is to really know yourself. Tap into your strength, tap into your talent. It's very, very important. Who are you? Are you someone who relishes organization, structure? Are you someone who's very intuitive? Are you someone who's all about connection? The company that you will create is a mirror of who you are. So I want that to sink in. What you create is a mirror of you. So to give you an example, who am I? By birth, I'm Lebanese. By naturalization, I'm French. By choice, I'm American. And by training, I studied traditional Chinese medicine and psychology. So people who come from all those countries, people who are liking Eastern philosophy and Western philosophy, are very attracted to my practice and what I train. My practice is derived from who I am. If you look at who we are, we're a practice of multicultural psychologists to meet the demand of people who are coming my way. So I want you to ask this question: who are you and what are you creating? Are you creating a company based on connection? Are you creating a company based on profit, business? Who are you? Yes, the company you build is exactly a mirror of who you are. And in that sense, your company will grow based on how you grow internally. So how do you grow internally? You need a few mindset tips, because usually the pitfall of growing are that you take things personally. It is your baby. Your company is your baby. You put heart into it. And so when you put so much heart into it, you're a bit distressed when it's not going well, when people aren't happy. You're distressed. And that distress is here to help you build something internally so that you grow, you tweak, and now you have the ability to handle this stress in a different way. So I remember very well my first employee who was not happy with something. And, I'm a healer. So I like for people to be balanced, happy. And so for me particularly, that was hard. And I looked at it in a different way. I looked at it, it's not about me, but it is for me. And what is in it for me? For me, this is an opportunity to expand my realm, to expand my ability to deal with stress. Because ideally, I wanted a work environment that was very peaceful, very beautiful. As a psychologist, I wanted to create something really good for everyone. And it was shifting my perspective. That was really important. So the first step is really balance yourself, really look at what is going on and how is it a reflection of you. So it's not about you, but it is for you. So it's not that this person was upset because, I did anything wrong or something was wrong in the system necessarily, but this person was coming in my life to teach me, well, how can I deal with that? What do I do with it? And I can tell you it has helped me a lot. I've become an assertive leader. I've become a compassionate, assertive leader. And as I grow, my company has grown. So it's very much this idea. It's not about you. It is for you. Every obstacle coming your way is here to expand your potential. And so you want to pay attention when you go into fear. You want to pay attention when you go into doubt, because those are signal that there's still something not solid within you that you need to expand. So when business go down and you go into fear, is you haven't tapped into your strengths, your potential. You haven't relied on who you are in those ways, because business will go down, but it doesn't have to bring you fear. It has to bring you curiosity. When internally you have the ability to deal with the ups and downs of life, life becomes just a curious journey. And life becomes this, what is this for me? What is in it for me? So that point is so, so, so important. It's not about you. It is for you. And your company is a mirror of who you are. So I wanted to start there and see if there's any questions that I can expand on, because that was one big point that I wanted to bring. And I have other points too. But is there any questions that you have about this? I don't see yet comments in the chat. So maybe not. Maybe people are on board with this concept. Okay, so I'll go with my next point. The next point is it takes time. It takes time and it takes patience. It takes time to build a lead, a company for you. It took me time to get the right players in the game. And it had to tweak who I was. So, as you know, I'm a healer and I'm a teacher. So guess who I attracted? I attracted people who I end up taking care of in some sort of way. And so I had to make a shift within me from healer to entrepreneur. So now it's time for you. Who are you? How do you operate in the world? What are the shifts that you need to make to get to the next level in your life? What are the pieces? So sometimes some things that happen very often is something, let's say, bad happens. Somebody's unsatisfied, your employee are not performing the way you want to perform. And you start with, did I not explain it right? Maybe I was not clear enough. Maybe how can I improve? And some people go that route and other people go, well, what's wrong with that employee? And I think those two ways are not the most effective. The reason that they're not the most effective, it's not about you. It's not about them. It's about the growth opportunity. So if you make it about them, you lose your ability to step to another level. If you make it about you, you go too hard on self-blame, doubt, and fear. So the middle ground is curiosity. So the curiosity is, what am I going to do with the situation? As much as I explain, it's not working. Do I want to tweak my explanation? Sure. Let's tweak that explanation. Is it working better? At some point, you'll realize that it's not about The process, the way, the technique. It's about you internally. It's about maybe you are too caring and that needs to be rebalanced. Maybe you're too harsh, that needs to be rebalanced. But you will know if you look a little bit within. Once you balance yourself, everything falls into place. The systems come to you, the processes come to you, new ideas come to you. A successful company first is based on a balanced leader. And as you know, we all are off balance all the time, and we're always rebalancing ourselves. And the more you work on this journey of rebalancing yourself, the more successful your company. Because when everything falls into place within you, everything falls into place outside of you. So that is a big point that most entrepreneurs focus on. What don't I know? Let me get a coach. Let me get other people. Let me get a lot of things on the outside. And those are all good. You will need mentors. You will need coaches. But that's not the secret. The secret is you. You are the key ingredient. So let's make that perfect balanced key ingredient.
Awesome. I know you have some more points for us, but I want to camp out for a moment with what you've already brought to us, and even bring in some things that you're validating that came up yesterday.
Yes.
So, but I'm going to start with the last thing that you said, which was very eye-opening. You're just so innovative. You're an innovator. No wonder you're leading the field, because most people would say a great leader would go, oh, how do I communicate better? How can I say it differently? How do I need to show up? And what you just said is, no, that's not super effective. You said it in those words because you said then it becomes about you or them. And it's not, or if you're saying, this employee is just not my vibe, not my tribe, this isn't my team, they're not up to task, that you're making it about you or them. And what you said is it's not about either of those things. It's about a growth opportunity and curiosity. There's a lot less pressure right away in like, what do I need to do? I mean, I feel like I could champion that poster. I mean, you're shifting my thinking, as always, every time I spend time with you, because I would I kind of pride myself. I see what's happening there. It's about me. What do I need to do? Who do I need to be? How do I need to shift? Which still comes up, but in a different context, is what you're saying. The context of curiosity is more playful, joyful, adventurous, and it relieves pressure. And then you can ask those questions. Who do I need to be? How could I state this? But from the place of not about you, about the growth opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. This is such a key point, and I'm so happy you're pointing it out and making a difference. That it's the foundation from where things come from is so different, and that foundation is the most important. And the foundation is exactly that: playful curiosity. We're on a journey. Let's figure it out, and it doesn't have to be heavy.
I'm going to speak a vision into the future where you, Jocko, and his extreme ownership are having a dialogue so we can all elevate together. I mean, literally, my guy is reading it with his team right now, and that conversation would blow me away. And I bet it would open some things for him. So I see that for you, and I get to be there because I just planted it in the universe. All right, we're going to create that. We're going to create. Yes. Yeah, let's see, Jocko. I'm going to challenge your idea. But it's not about me. It's about the growth opportunity, okay? All right. This is really good. This is really good. How did you first discover that, or why did you bring that up as a point? Is it something that you see a lot of entrepreneurs carry? Because I think it is a higher level than blame, but what you're saying is, meh, it's the same. It's just, yeah.
Right.
Why did you? Mm-hmm.
I see it everywhere. I see it with, when I have psychologists onboarding my practice, I see how they address things. I see when I started, I didn't know. I just knew, like, I had a philosophy of life, a little bit like from lived experience. And I realized more and more that what works the best is when something comes your way and you take a minute and to see, okay, what is it? What is it for me here? How will, like, just a curiosity works the best, because for when our business we get so entangled, we want to do so well. There's a desire there, and that desire with what's coming our way, it's creating friction, because you will either have a strong reaction to whatever comes with a strong emotion, and you will act on that emotion and you'll create what you're scared of. This is how it happens again and again. So I saw again and again that how it's so easy to act, and we're so easily triggered for valid reasons.
Okay, now this is what came up the other day, and I want to dig a little deeper on. And I know we have about 9 minutes, and then I'm going to introduce you to someone before you go.
I know her already, I think.
Oh, you do?
I
So
do.
I hope you're doing
Close
licensing
friends.
work with her. Good, good, good. Okay, so here's Hoist Gracie brought up yesterday, which Hoist was one of the most interesting champions and maybe it's just I haven't worked with as many athletes. But what I found really interesting about him is that he was born into a family with an identity that jujitsu is the best. We're the best and we just have to prove it. So whenever I asked him questions about, well, what about, did you ever feel low? No, because I just have, like there was nothing in him aligned with most speakers. Most people go, yeah, I've had really a tough moment. This happened, that happened. I was on the floor. I had to get myself up this way. And you go, oh, human moment. We all relate. That's a powerful tool. But I just couldn't get it from him at first, And then I realized this guy just came in like, no, we're the best. We just have to prove it. Bring it to the mat. Let me show you. Let me show you. But one thing that he brought up that was very powerful. He did say, put me in a soccer field and I'm not the best there. I have 2 left feet. I stay in my lane. But when I asked him about breakdowns in life, there's something you just alluded to, and I want you to tell us how to get there, because he's not the psychologist. He's the fighter, the teacher. Is that he said, that if someone told him, he said that in life, everything comes in waves, right? And in teams, you build the athlete up to a peak, a wave, a game day. And if you peak too early, you've already lost the game because they're going back down and you have to work this recovery. And okay, I already have that. I have an Iron Man as a boyfriend. I use it as a metaphor. We don't need to grind all the time. We need recovery. We need to receive. I get all that. But when he related it to life, that life is like that it has these peaks and then it has the down. And so when something bad happens, oh, you're in the down peak. But the way he said it made me realize his philosophy was it's necessary. All of it's necessary. And so he said, if I win $1 billion, okay. If I owe $1 billion, okay. And the fear seemed to be very diminished and quite a surrender in such a fierce animal. You know what I mean? Where often you see these flow masters that just la-di-da through life or intensely rigid. It was such a beautiful picture of having that power and discipline and relentless with this surrendered flow. And that's what I hear you describing. But can you tell us how to access that?
Yes, I'll be happy to. So to go back to Royce Gracie, he tapped into something that was given to him, which is we don't let doubt enter. We tap into our strength. We're the best, we're strong. And that gives faith, that gives foundation, that gives something. So the idea is that he applied this concept to everything. He applied the concept that when it's high, we're strong. When we're low, we're strong. So it's no longer low. It's just cycle of life, but nothing changes within. Things change outside, but not within. So I wanted to use this example. This is such a good example, how you see that he has been given something growing up that prepared him for his future. And that's something he has used and incorporated. And that has made him have a bit of a distance with life and a peacefulness about life. And he has applied that vision and perspective to what he has studied, performance, peak performance. And so it's his uniqueness, and that's what he's here to contribute. So for all of us, how we can get there is to tap into what do we believe, who we are, what do we have, so that we can have faith and trust. Because what most people don't have to be able to do that is they have the idea that I will succeed through effort. I will succeed through performance. So when it goes down, oh my God, I didn't do good enough. I didn't do good of this. So I'll give you an example of how I do it, and then I can give you an example of how you can do it, Adora, and hopefully it will help other people discover how. But it's about tapping into who you are and what makes you you. So for me, my parents cultivated in me, my mother specifically, follow your heart, follow your passion. My father cultivated in me, you have to be the best. Like he was very, very big on I had to get the best grade. If I was not first of class, it was not good enough. Now, needless to say, growing up with that was not the most fun. But now that I'm grown up, I realize that, oh my God, that was the best for me. That in some way he cultivated within me a competitiveness, a desire, and a vision that could happen. And my mother cultivated in me a concept of passion, heart. And if you look at me, what really, if you hear me talk, you will hear the heart and you will hear the top expert. That was given to me. So whenever something comes, I have those two. So whenever we have lows, I tap into, okay, I'll go with my heart. What do I love? So I'll give you an example. When my daughter was born, and we're deviating a bit, but I'm going to bring you back. When my daughter was born, I started throwing big birthday party for her. So I decorate the whole house myself, and I loved it. And so when my daughter was born, I realized I have other talents. I can transform a place into a magical place. I do that in therapy. I do that with therapeutic spaces, but now I was doing it differently. And suddenly I realized there is so much to me that I really don't have to worry. If psychology doesn't work out, I have this other thing. And I remember I would bring somebody who would do party for my daughter, and she'll working for celebrity, and she would tell me, if you need a job, creating those magical places, I have one for you and you can be very successful. And I realized trust and faith come from tapping into who you are and the different petal of your flowers. And most people only tap into one petal, but there are many pieces. So I know we have to end soon, but so the idea here is tap into who you are, because that will protect you from the fear and the doubt and the low. And look at your mindset, because the mindset you describe, people are scared of the law because they are feeling like it's all about effort, themselves, and everything we talked about. And they also feel like their desire is so big. So they have a big desire, but they haven't built the foundation. The foundation, who are you? Trust you. You will create you, and you has a big place in this universe. So I hope that helped.
Yeah, it's super helpful. I see in our green room, I see in the chats that that it's resonating. Okay, I have one more question before we bring on our next expert. I saw that when we, and by the way, all of you who have registered, watching the replay, you all at the end of the event get some various gifts from our speakers just for being here. We're giving them at the end, so we keep you here with us. But you get them at the end, and I noticed that your gift was called "Elevate Your Stress to Success." Like such a disruptor. What do you mean? We're trying to diffuse, down regulate stress. Like, what are you talking about? Elevate your stress to success.
That is so good. I often get that response. So this is combining East and West, that, elevate stress, meaning tap into a higher frequency. That most people tap in the frequency of stress as destructive. That stress is destructive, it's bad for me, it brings health issue, it's really not good. And from that perspective, it is. But there's another perspective, that stress comes your way to create a wake-up call. Stress comes your way for you to pay attention, tweak. If stress wasn't there, you would not change. Because when everything goes well, we just want to go on vacation and have fun. Like, who wants to go on improvement and more and all of that? It's only when something bad or an obstacle, stress comes, that you pay attention. So elevate your stress to success is an opportunity to look at stress as something calling your attention. It's a gift from life. It's a gift from life coming your way and saying, the way you're doing it, your way you're going about it, that's not the most effective use of you. You have higher potential. Life is not meant to be stressful, and we all know that. So what do you need to tweak internally? So it's very similar to my talk, what we talked about, that stress calls your attention. And so stress is frustration, and frustration is here to bring you to action. But most people go into action in the external world. They go, they fix their business, they fix their processes, they hire other people. Like, the external is so emphasized. But in reality, it's all about the internal. When things tweak internally, everything changes externally. And you see that in your relationship. You see that when you get healthier. You see it in so many ways. When your body appearance change, external life change. When your emotion change, when you meditate, everything change. So, and that's the most effective route, the most powerful, effective. And as you know by now, I'm about the most effective in the shortest amount of time and the most long lasting. That's how I apply that to every single thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, very good. Thank you. I want to keep going. This always happens. And so we'll definitely, we've been together for a few years now. I'll have you on again soon. And thank you so much. You'll all be getting a gift from Dr. Yasmin. And yes. And if you're feeling that you need a breakthrough or you need support, the good news is you can go to Dr. Yasmin in just one session, major. So, Holy Spirit activate. And those of you in the South know the Holy Spirit activate. And I just have to give you a little side note. We were in Dining Divas St. Lucia, our mastermind, filming. And it was the first time I filmed with them somewhere else in Miami, but it was our first session. And we had under our noses lobster and steak and shrimp. And we were starving, not really, but it felt like we were. And it was like, one more shot. It was like an hour later, the food is cold by the time you eat it. So we did this reel, like, when you're filming for a food show, Holy Spirit, activate. And if I could have drawn on like salivation, I totally would. But really, I thank you so much for your work in the world, for your wisdom. I'm visioning. I want you to vision with me the Jocko experience with you, challenging extreme ownership and what that means. That would be very fun. I'm sure you're going to land on some similar playing grounds, but I like the opposing sides, and I want to see the aha light in Jocko, and I'm sure it'll go mutual. So anyway, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate you.
for you, Adora. Thank you so much for all the opportunities, and thank you for this wonderful interview and summit. Thank you for everything you do, because you're behind the people. You push people forward, so it's beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Where are you in the world?
Right now, I'm in New York.
All right.
Traveling in an hour, so I just got in.
Enjoy. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, love. All right. Awesome. That was so good. So good. Okay. So our next guest, I've been kind of seeding, and hopefully a text message will go out. But either way, this will live. I'm super excited to bring you April Beach. And many of you are coaches, consultants, and speakers, authors. You have different ideas. And I've been telling you, April has been able to not only license her own work, but help other people. She had one client that licensed an 8-part communication system, something that was already in her wheelhouse, for $56K, another deal on the table for over $1 million. And I was blown away that she said it's much easier than most people think. And for me, I'm in Texas. And so you may not like this analogy, but I think of oil in the backyard, right? I think of there's, wealth in the ground that is eco-friendly, universe-friendly, environmentally friendly, debate-free. Never debate-free if you're up to anything in life. But that right now you are sitting with treasure and opportunity to align with huge, small, all kinds of organizations. And April is the gateway for us and access to that today. So April, thank you so much. And her real last name is Beach, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to dive into what we get to talk about today.
Well, let's do that and dive. Do you just naturally throw those out, and not dive into the water?
I didn't even realize it. Maybe it's just subconscious. Everything has to do with immersion. Yes. Anything that has to do with water, life, water, my last name, and everything we're talking about today. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. You grew up on the beach too, right?
I did. My parents owned surf shops in California and Hawaii. So I am actually from that culture, and everything we're talking about has to do with extracting everything we love, everything that we're called to do, everything we've done already, and continuing to do it. So
awesome.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. This is crazy awesome, and really drilling for treasure right now. So tell us anything you want before you dive in about why this journey, how this journey, anything that you want. And then I'm going to put you in solo layout, but if you want to pull me up, I will always have questions for you. And I may just pop in and ask a question because it's like pumping in my brain. Okay.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Okay.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. I am absolutely thrilled to get a chance to pour into you guys today. I'm April Beach. I have actually been an entrepreneur my whole life, never worked for anybody else. And so those of you that are out there that keep creating like I do, what we're going to talk about today has to do with your genius and extracting your genius and reaching more people with your genius. So if you're ready for that, then type in the comments. If you're here with us live, I can't wait to dive in with you. So just a little bit of background. I actually have been coaching coaches for 27 years, and my area of expertise is online business. So in the past, we've taught people to launch courses and memberships and any sort of business model that aligns with online business. And then in 2009, yay, Tiffany, I was approached by a company to license my courses. And I had no idea what I was doing, you guys. I didn't even know what licensing meant. I had heard of licensing, and you might have heard of licensing. Like, we license pictures when we use somebody else's pictures on social media, or licensing music to put in some sort of product you're doing, or I licensed somebody else's music in the beginning of my podcast. So I knew that, and I know physical product licensing, and I know licensing tell me if this resonates with you. I know licensing now because I have teenage athletes, and there's this like name, image, likeness thing where, we know about licensing and how you can get paid. If anybody's seen the recent movie about Michael Jordan and licensing, we know that. But in 2009, I had 3 little babies around my ankles. I had an international business consulting firm. I had online courses. I had a great business, but you guys, I was working all the time. And so a company approached me. It was actually a huge healthcare organization because they wanted to license my courses. And I had never thought about that. I had no idea what they were talking about. And literally, my father was an attorney, so I knew a little bit about, law at the time. But I had never thought about the fact that the things that I had created would be valuable to somebody else. And so in 2009, I took a deep dive, literally, as we were talking about, head first into the world of licensing my intellectual property. And so what does this actually mean? It means, and think about this for yourself as I'm talking, I had created trainings and frameworks. And at that time, they were finished, completed courses, and they were very valuable to another company. They were very valuable for a variety of reasons at the time. And one thing, if you go to my website, you won't see this anywhere. So funny how we always constantly reinvent ourselves. I was actually the creator of the parent coaching industry back in 2006. And so at the time, the courses that I had were all courses that were helping parents prepare for baby. And they were very, very valuable to this hospital that wanted to attract more people to have the baby at their hospital. And so they licensed 8 of my courses and articles and checklists and things that I had been hustling. How many of you guys are out there hustling to sell your courses and your trainings, and you're doing all the things and all the funnels and on all the podcasts and get it out there? So I was doing that. And I did at the time have a really successful international consulting firm coaching other businesses and parents at the time as well. And I was out there hustling, and literally one day I realized that this hospital would pay me more money than I had made all year long selling these courses individually in one lump sum to insert my courses into their offerings. And my entire life changed. And so what you hear is this, oh, she had this successful consulting firm. Yes, I had that. I had courses and memberships and all those things. But what you don't know is behind the scenes, my youngest son had really severe medical issues. He had really severe food allergies. So on top of that, I was dealing with this kid that was in the hospital, no joke, twice a month. And so I needed to figure out a way to free up my time so I could continue to pour into his health, continue to increase my revenue. At the time, my husband was a restaurant manager. If any of you guys have ever been in the restaurant business, you know that he was never around. He worked like 100 and 1,000 hours a week. And so I felt like I was a single parent. And so the world of licensing opened up to me, and it was a game changer. And so then I realized that I could license my trainings again and again and again. And today, my courses and my trainings are licensed by companies in 13 different countries, and it is on autopilot. And so for the last 10 years, I have taught other subject matter experts and coaches and consultants how to take the content that you've already created and package it up for corporations, organizations, and other businesses to distribute and to use. And it is literally life-changing. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I wanted to dive in, and I wanted to share with you guys the process, as I have an eyelash here poking in my eye. I wanted to share with you guys the process of how you can get started of doing this. Let me kind of pop in the comments here. And okay, so first of all, I would love for you guys to think about, what have you already created? What are the things that you've already created? So we take advantage, I don't want to say advantage, we take for granted the things that we think that we just have to do as part of our business. So all of those standard operating procedures, all of your systems and your frameworks that you may be using internally in your business, or they might be client facing, you've worked your booty off to create those. We all know that you have. And what we don't realize, so awareness number one is realizing the value of what you have created. You guys say the value of what I've created. So what I've created is valuable. And when you go through the process of understanding, why is it valuable? It's valuable because your expertise, your time in the trenches to figure out how to create that, your process of creating a transformational method to get results in some capacity, you put in the time, you put in the effort, you probably invested some money to figure out how to build those things. So whether they are actual trainings that you're already sitting on, courses you've already created, I love talking to course creators because this next level of licensing, they just don't even think about, any sort of, it could be a 1-hour training. It could be the framework for a year-long mastermind. So I want you guys to think of the value you have already created. So step number one is realizing, I call it, what's the street value of that? That's the money you put in and the time that you put in. And then the next awareness is, why would somebody want to buy that? People ask me all the time, why would somebody want to buy my training? Why would somebody want to buy my courses? And let me tell you, it's not a good business decision for companies to reinvent what you've already created. It takes them time and it takes them money. And the things that you've created because you're the expert or the specialist at it. You went through the process to develop that methodology, those systems, processes, and frameworks. You are the one that's been there. You've seen it 360 degrees. For a company to go back and try to recreate the goal that you already have done, it's not a good business decision. In most cases, especially when we're talking about bigger companies, they're going to have to pay an employee to learn what you already know, and then that employee will probably leave. It's just not smart. So I want you to tap into the things you've already created, the trainings you've already created, and I want you to realize that they are very, very valuable to other companies. So let's talk about next, if everybody's with me here, let's talk about what you're sitting on. Let's talk about looking at your assets. So if you have trainings and programs that maybe you created months or weeks ago, and you're just not really sure if you want to sell it, maybe they've been sitting there collecting dust for years. We have programs. At one point in time, we had 56 online courses in our business. And as my company grew, my clients grew. And so some of the initial programs that we created, some of the initial courses were not leveled up enough for the clients that I currently work with now. But they're amazing. Obviously, they worked to get our clients to the point that they're at. And so if you have trainings and programs, and so we are licensing those to other companies that do serve clients that are at that place. What do you guys have that you've created? You might be like me. Literally, I'm so old school. I'm 47, which means everything I do is handwritten on a piece of paper, and then it goes up into the virtual world, or I transcribe it. What are the stacks of papers and things that you guys have created that you're sitting on that you're not even using? Those are the things I want you to look at. It could be one training that you outlined before. It could be a course that you don't sell, you don't use anymore. It could be a framework or a process. So that's the first thing I want you to think about. Okay. The second thing I want you to think about is this training what we would call an internal training or an external training? So what do I mean by that? Is your area of expertise your system, framework, process, training course? Is it something that helps a company with their internal systems? Are you a marketing coach? Do you have marketing processes? Are you a video coach? Are you, like Adora had mentioned, I have a few clients that are communication specialists. Their training is very valuable internally for companies to use. Hiring practice training, any sort of systems processes. I have another client. She's an expert at executive functioning and in helping companies with employees with ADHD. Any of those things. How great are you at helping a company? Doesn't even have to be a huge corporation. If that seems intimidating to you, can be a small business, mid-sized business. We can talk about who to sell these to here in a second, but who can you help internally with the process? Or what you have something that they can turn around and use it externally? So that's what I call client facing. Is what you do something that they can add to their current programs that they have, add to their current offer, augment their current offer, make it better? Can they charge more for what they're already doing because of the fact that they have added your training and your program in there? So decide, hey, listen, is what I have internal or is it external for a company? So those are some of the things I want you guys to think about when you guys are going through the licensing process. Adora, are you with me? How does this sound to you so far? I want to make sure that everybody is with me so far. This is
I'm totally with you. I'm sending a text to our whole group in the background. So just keep going. I'm with you.
You're good. I just want as my dog is barking and
we're good.
And everything's here. Welcome to the beach house, everybody. You're gonna always hear dogs and kids and things like that in the background here. So, is your program internal viable? Does it help create change internally or externally? So once we get there and we're at this benchmark, now you realize that, again, the size of the program doesn't matter. Whether or not the program is already built out doesn't matter. Here is the prerequisite to licensing. I'm going to be really honest about this. And not everybody can do this, but it's not that hard. But I want to be honest about who is ready to walk into this. Number one, you have to be good at what you do. Okay? Just going to say it. You have to be good at what you do. And that means that number two, you have a proven method or framework or process to get people from point A to, it doesn't even have to be Z, guys, it can be point C in your training. But you have a proven method or process that, in fact, moves people through what I call a transformation. We call this here at the Sweet Life Company, transformational program design. And that means what you do is predictable, it's measurable, and you can bring people through a process. So that is the prerequisite to licensing. All right. So number one, you have to be good at what you do. Number two, you have to have a process to get people results. The issue here is, now what? Now you know that you have valuable content that is important for other companies. Who can you license to? Corporations, organizations, other small businesses. I'll give you a ton of case studies here today because I know this concept is new. And so I love sharing with you some of the things that my clients are doing, some of the things that I've done, so I can get your wheels spinning about this. But one of the things that you can do is just license it to other small micro entrepreneurs as well. As an example, we have some courses that we license. This is my life. I love this. I want to get you guys so excited about this. We have some courses and trainings that we license where companies literally line up, they sign up for a waiting list all year long. I release a license to these trainings 1 month a year in December. It's the only month I work on this. I accept payment for that. Everybody has their license agreement signed, and I don't talk to them for another 2 years. And they are inserted in other small micro consulting businesses around the world. So it doesn't have to be that you have to sit down with a huge corporation. Who do you want to work with? Every single one of us has a comfort zone. I love pushing our comfort zone, by the way. I love doing things that are uncomfortable to me. But with licensing, it's like a choose your own adventure. How many of you guys are old enough and you remember those choose your own adventure books? That's exactly what licensing your content is like. We can actually go through and choose who you want to work with and what your business model of licensing can look like. And it's unique to you, and it's very, very effective.
I want to keep going. Do you see how this happens? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know. I want to keep going. And we have our next expert who's been with us since I started this morning. So I want to say a few things. I know you all are feeling like we are just starting to dive in because I'm feeling that. And luckily we have April for a VIP session. So those of you in VIP, what we'll do with April's session is continue the deep dive as well as Q&A. You'll be able to ask her specifically about your moves. April, I know you're going to be giving a free gift to everyone. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that is? And remember, they get it at the end. But
Yes. I will not tell you how to get it. You have to hang out for a little bit more. But the free gift is called Licensing Launchpad. It's a really highly valuable but short time workshop that you guys can tap into on demand with a licensing workbook. So I'm going to take you through not only what we talked about, but the next steps, including you will know what the top 10 companies are buying right now. So I'm going to give you the cheat sheet of what they're buying. And I'm also going to tell you the 5 most popular ways to package your license and even release it. And especially for those of you guys that are also interested in creating certification programs, this is very important for you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Final thought. And this is a great learning for me, you guys. Next time I'm going to make sure we have more time. I more time with us to dig, but I know that it got some of you like activated. Scott, I know Betsy, who I'm bringing up next, you got to meet April. I'll do a personal introduction between you all my speaker friends. I'm like, I've got this secret weapon for you. Not a weapon. It's like a Nerf gun. It's a surfboard.
It is a secret weapon.
Yeah.
We don't talk about this enough. I want everybody to know.
Yeah. So a final thought before we bring up our next guest.
Yeah. Final thought for you is to understand that what you've created is valuable and to realize that, my clients want to do a couple things, obviously increase the number of clients they serve, increase our profit, but increase the reach of your work. That this is a win-win opportunity for everybody. And by licensing your content and your IP, you can literally change people's lives in a way that you can't even imagine that reach yourself. And it's a very, very mutually beneficial for everybody involved. And I'll just leave everybody at this because this is the 10 to 100K. But the average first license price for just a 3-module training for my clients is $50,000. And we do those on repeat. Up to, as Adora said, 1.5 million for an 8-module training. So these are things you've already created. You guys have them. Believe in yourself and realize that you were given the gift that you were for the knowledge that you were given, not just for small spaces, but to truly reach out and change the world. And we believe that this is the best way to do that personally here.
That is so amazing. And access, the rooms that you get in, the people that you hang out with, the ability to meet an ocean mermaid in a living body in April Beach. I just I had a thing for mermaids all my life. So thank you so much for sharing what's possible and the generosity and how people it really can, and that free gift that you're giving to all of our audience. I'm going to ask our team to put up the VIP join link. So you guys, it's $47 and you're going to get invited to all these Q&As. So if you haven't done that, like get in there, jump in there. You'll get the replays, even if you can't come live, but I would be there live. For this, I would move. If I were you, I'd move whatever I had on my calendar, unless it's a graduation, birthday, something super awesome like that. But thank you, April, for all that you do. I'm so happy that we met each other, and I'm looking forward to everything that we'll create together.
Yeah, it's awesome. Can't wait to talk to you guys in the VIP Q&A. So dive in there with me. Bye, Dora. Thank you so much, you guys, for having me.
Thank you. Wow, I really did not want that to end. I didn't. And then I'm so excited about our next guest, Betsy Richard, who was one of the top, if you've ever seen a pink Cadillac or a pink car, for many years, she was a top leader in Mary Kay, which is here in Dallas. So we've all, ladies everywhere, I believe, have been impacted by the culture of Mary Kay, whether or not you know it. And then transitioned into helping corporations and business owners understand how to effectively lead teams. And like, how do your spiritual philosophies play out in work? How do you inspire a culture? And she has testimonials of people seeing, after working with her, 48% increase in sales and profits and all of that. So I'm super excited that we get to bring up Betsy. Hello, Betsy.
Hey there. I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for having me, Adora.
You're so welcome. So Betsy, just take a moment and share anything you want with us. You've seen the format. You've been hanging out all day.
Yes.
About where you've been, what you stand, anything that you want. And I'm going to put you in, before we start Q&A, I'm going to go ahead and I won't interrupt. So if there's a point on your heart, you feel free to share it, but I'm going to put you on the big screen.
Well, I appreciate that. And I may jump in and get you to prompt me on anything you may want me to share. But as I listened this morning, I realized so many people are sharing so many of their gifts. And everyone on this conference, whether you're going to listen to the recording or you're here live, you have so much value to add to society and to your family and to your friends. And Adora asked me to share, some things when we were talking earlier, and I was getting to know her really well, just about my business and some of the moves I made and some of the things that have happened. And one of my mantras was for a long time, and still is, to never do the 3 C's. To never do the 3 C's. One is to compare. To never compare myself to anybody else, because a lot of times when we compare ourselves, we are comparing our weaknesses to other people's strengths. Another C is to never criticize, because we never know what other people have gone through. We've never been in their shoes, and we never will be. And another one is, and I always tell this to my grandchildren, is to never complain. Because when we complain, we're complaining against some of the things that God put in our life for a reason, some of the people that God put in our life for a reason. And so those things have stuck with me. And I learned that I'd heard that and used it a lot, but one day this happened to me and it really put everything in perspective. It was at the end of a month in Mary Kay, and those of you that work in direct selling organizations know that there's always a push towards the end of the month for people to earn their cars or get their bonuses or whatever it is. And not only in direct selling organizations, but in a lot of other organizations. And it was about 11:30 in the evening, and I had some ladies that were pushing to get their car, get in production and everything. And one of them called me, and she was not on my team. She was an adoptee. We do unto others, you'd have them do unto you. So I had taken her under my wing, and she needed to get an order in. And I was wondering, why is her director not calling her? I had a team of almost 300 people at that time, and she was a part of that team locally, but I wasn't making commissions on her, and that's fine. But at the last minute, needed help with a huge order to put in. And I was complaining internally, why is this director not taking care of her own person? I was complaining, I was comparing myself because I had 300 people and she didn't have that many. And I was all up in that. And when the night ended and we got everything for that lady ordered and everybody took care of their orders and everything worked out, the next morning, the lady called me and told me that her director's husband had drowned. And I was complaining, criticizing, comparing all night long, thank goodness internally, and not with, sharing that with anybody else. But, we never know what people are going through, and talk about make an impact on my life. Just thinking about that and what that director was going through. So, those are three important parts. Another thing that Adora and I spoke about, something else, is making decisions. Like for me, going in, transitioning from a direct selling company at a high level to more local business now and national, but to transferring my skills into the local market wasn't something that I had thought I was going to ever do. I thought I was going to retire as a national sales director at Mary Kay Cosmetics, but I went up to see a business coach for about 2 or 3 days up in Nebraska, and I think it was Nebraska. Anyway, went up there, and when I left there, realized that this is not the direction that I'm supposed to take. But I was asking God, okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm not going to be retiring here. It was at a very tough time in my life. I was having back surgery. Had gone through a wreck, was not having in a good space in my marriage, and I didn't know what I was going to do if Mary Kay wasn't it. But my daughter showed up one day and she said, "Mom, you need to open an Airbnb." And I said, "What's that?" And so I had to research it. I'm a baby boomer and had no idea what that was. And so I went ahead and looked it up and researched it and discussed it with my husband. And we said, well, shoot, we'll just open it up. If it doesn't work, we'll close it down. And after a few people had come through our home and we just loved it, my husband said, "You are having so much fun with this." And it was such a bright spot and a joy in my life at a tough time. And I was listening to her talk about Gracie and the things that he grew up with. We didn't all grow up with that positive instillment. I had wonderful parents, and they taught me to make sure I was independent and make a life for myself, because, you have to take care of yourself. And they also taught me, if you want something done and you don't want to do it, make sure you make enough money so that you can pay somebody else to do it. But anyway, back to the Airbnb, a lot of people kept telling me, you ought to write a book about your experiences. And so that was not on my bucket list to write a book, but I started writing a book, and it's going to be coming out this summer. And I have it with me, and it's called Cajun Gumbo for the Soul. It's about my Airbnb experiences and how I prayed for the strangers that came through my house. But right after that, she also told me, she said, Mom, you ought to be a business consultant. People do not know how to run their businesses. They have visions. Everybody's visionary. They start a business, they get excited about it, but they don't always ground it. And so I had to think about that and pray about that. And so there were steps that I took in that. Sometimes when you have to make a decision, The decision is easy. Like, for instance, I lived in my family home, and I thought I was going to stay there till I retired, which I don't know if I'll ever retire. I love what I do so much; it's very fulfilling. But I thought, well, around 70, uh, I'll sell that home and move and downsize. But the day after Easter, right after we had buried my mom, I woke up and I knew I'm supposed to sell my house. It was a gift that I did not have to figure it out. I just knew from the bottom of my heart that that's what I was supposed to do. That didn't happen with my business. But let me share another way that things happen when you're trying to make a decision. A lot of times it's just about, you're going back and forth. There's this tension, holding that tension of, what am I going to do, and getting nervous, and fear sets in, which is not from God. And then seeing the possibilities, and there's this pull back and forth. And a lot of times that happens. And when you finally make a decision, if you're at peace, you made the right decision. If you're not, then go back and change that decision if you can. But a lot of times you have to go through a process. And so what I did with this business, trying to figure it out, is I prayed about it and just put it up in the universe, gave it to God, and said, okay, what am I supposed to do? And that's the first step that you do when you're trying to make a decision, because we want to think out of the box. We don't have to limit ourselves. There are gifts that we all have, and we may not be able to use them all, but we can use a lot of them and shift them around. So I knew that the second step is what I know. I know that I'm an entrepreneur. I know that I always find a way. I know that people do need help with their businesses. I had read a book by Gino Whitman called Traction, and I knew that's exactly how I ran my business. So I thought, I can do this for other people. So I tested the water. A friend of mine, her boss wanted her to become a salesperson for her. Well, not everybody's a salesperson. And I knew that she was more of a farmer than a hunter. She took care of people, just a beautiful person taking care of all the customers that he brought in. But he wasn't happy where he was. And I said, look, I'll come work for you for free for about a couple of months. And I'll meet with you every week, every other week, whatever. You don't have to pay me anything. But let me see if I can help you. I don't think I can cause any harm, but I'm sure I can help you. So after 6 weeks, he gave me a check and asked if he had a contract. He said, you have done more good for me than anybody has, and you need to come speak to this group of insurance agents and financial advisors. And so I did. And then once I did that, people started calling me. And then, of course, I've marketed myself all my life, so I wasn't scared to do that. And marketing and media is so important, but that one-on-one relationship, you can't beat that. And so I went ahead and branded myself, and I went ahead and got a website and continued to open that to everybody, and continue to market myself, and have just such a beautiful life. Because when you're an entrepreneur and you do what you want when you want, you don't have to sacrifice anything. And I don't feel like I have. I've had a beautiful life and continue to, and I'm very grateful for that. And grateful, an attitude of gratitude will increase your altitude.
Betsy, thank you so much. I had to pop in here because we have a leadership teaching moment, and you just talked about branding, and now Mr. Smooth is on the stage. He had no idea he was going to be on the stage. So Roy, wave if you hear me. Yeah, you hear me. Okay, so hold on. This is a teachable moment. And then I want to jump back to what you were saying, Betsy. You know how I got off and said, I'm going to send a text. And normally I have a team for doing that. And they're off on Saturdays, except for Lisa. Lisa's here. So I went and sent a text. And the link I gave everybody to join was the StreamYard, the speaker link. So people started showing up in this background.
Oh my.
And this is a lesson in why you rely on your team and you stay in your lane, right? it's also a lesson in imperfect action beats no action. So I just sent another text. But Roy Smooth came in here, and I have a story about that, and then Roy will move you back in the green room for a minute. But Roy is a branding expert in London. Okay. And Betsy, I want to say I love the story that you shared about never knowing what someone else is going through. And as a leader, how you can get to this place where you're protecting your time and it's the number one thing. And you're going, why is this person wasting my time? And like you said, thankfully, you didn't pass that on to everybody else. You could have. And a lot of leaders are taught boundaries, and then you found out her husband had drowned. And here she was fighting at the finish line for, I'm still going to show up and be my word and commit to my goals and move my life forward. And so that compassion and that what I love so much about the way you lead is one-on-one relationship and connection and consciousness. And so you talked about branding yourself and marketing. So Mr. Roy Smooth is in the UK, does a ton of branding. And some of you know that I got to work on the movie The Secret. And how that happened is, one, we didn't know it was going to be The Secret. And Roy Smooth called me and said, hey, this lady's doing this series. We got to have these certain qualifiers. Can you get Dennis Waitley in there? Do you know anyone else that wants to be in there? And we suggested Dr. DeMartini and brought that to the mix. And a lot of people don't know how that went down, Roy. So anything you want to say real quick to just say hello, because it was total happenstance that you ended up on here in this breakthrough moment. Let's unmute you.
Hi, how you doing, Adora?
Good. How are you?
I'm down at the beach, listening to you on the beach. That's why they call me the beach branding guy, as you can see.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, so it's a bit noisy, so I can't say too much. There's a lot of partying going on in the background.
Well, that's all right. I just want to say it's pretty cool because you jumped in right when Betsy was talking about branding. And then we just had April Beach right ahead of you, and you're the beach branding guy. So there's our signal that we're going to connect soon. I know we want to do some things in the UK together. So we'll connect after this event is complete.
Well, definitely. Actually, Adora, I'm looking to fly over to Dallas anytime soon. So we'll have to connect. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the UK that I want to connect you with, people I want to connect you with, and get you highlighted over here, because I think you'll do an amazing job in the UK. You'll smash it.
Oh, awesome. Well, great. And I know there's synergies. Dallas, I can't wait to meet you again in person. Last time we met was in Dallas when Dennis Waitley was speaking with Tim Brown at my event, and you were an attendee, and have just, wow. Yeah, it's time. It's time for us to reconnect. And I have some people I want to connect you with as well. So let's go. Here's our sign. Here's our sign.
All right.
All right.
I'll stay in on my call. Catch you later.
Awesome. Thank you. That is so wild, Betsy. That is so wild.
Things happen for a reason.
They totally do. And so I know you wanted to share something else before I popped in. I'd love to hear both what you're offering to our free to all attendees and everyone who's registered. We'll be sending that out over the next few days to everybody who is registered. We're also going to be resending out this entire campaign in daily little drips. So that's exciting. And then VIPs will have this in one place to rewatch. So what would you like to share, and any other final thoughts, Betsy?
Okay. Well, first of all, I did want to finish with the 5 steps to, making a decision, discerning a decision. One is, to put it out there and pray about it. The second one is to get together what all about the subject, all about what's going on. And that's when I went out and stepped out and, knew that I could that I was an entrepreneur already and could do something like this, and stepped out and had somebody test the markets with me, test the water with me, so to speak. And then thirdly is to write the pros and the cons down. What are the pros about making this different move? What are the cons about that? And then the fourth step is being open to awareness and being open to movements, thoughts, anything that you notice, little hints and things that pop up that might draw you towards it or against the decision or a different way of the decision, and then waiting for confirmation. That's not always easy because we're so impatient to get to a place we don't even know where we're going anyway. So to be patient and get that confirmation. And with my business, this new business that I opened, well, back in 17, I knew after going through that process that this was the right move. And it's been a blessing for me. So it's been real exciting. And what I'm offering is the first 10 people to go to my site, www.betsycrichard, or Richard. We say Richard down here in Cajun land, betsycrichard.com. And 10 people will get a free either spiritual session, I am a spiritual director, or a business session, or a mix of leadership, spiritual, business, or mix, whatever you want. And again, Adora, thank you so much for having me. And of course, there's so much more I can share. I don't know if there's any time left in here, but let me know.
Betsy, thank you for being here. And we're going to come back to you and ask you to host or be in a Q&A with our VIPs sometime over the next few weeks so that people can really deep dive with you, because I know we got a lot of high level principles, some strategies to roll with, but I know you know how to help people unlock the performance and the profits in their business. And you have testimonials of doing that, and you built huge teams and skinned your own knees at different times, figuring out how to grow and inspire a voluntary army to go produce, right? And so I know you have a lot to share here. What would you say before we bring on our next speaker? Why is your faith? And again, I know that a lot of I'm not shy about my beliefs or where I am or how they're flowing, whether it's Christ or Divine Mother, or what, it's kind of all, I am who I am, and you're with me on that journey or you're not. And I'm fine with that. But Betsy, I know a lot of my tribe are absolutely 1,000,000% spiritually driven, even if that's not forward in their business, how they make choices, what they choose, who they choose. They're driven by this higher calling that they know they're here to fulfill. And I know that you're one of those people, and you're more forward with it in that you help people. So why do you think spirit in the marketplace, or being more forward, why is that important to you? And it does need to be a short answer. I know you could probably write a chapter or a book on it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well, I think it's important to me just because it has given me so much, and when you can live in your purpose, and you are without a shadow of a doubt, because you can feel that your creator has pulled you in that direction, and I was open to it and aware. A lot of times we aren't aware because we're not being present enough, and we're not stopping long enough to take the time to work on our business, work on ourselves, the ontological picture, work on our finances, work on our emotions. And so I feel like I still have a whole lot of work to do, but I feel very good that I was ingrained as a child. That was lucky too. That was blessed too, to be ingrained as a child that there is a God, and there is somebody that believes in you, and you do have a purpose on this earth. And that's very important for me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your energy today and sharing in the teachable moment
Thank you.
with me. Yeah, I appreciate you, Betsy, and we'll coordinate your VIP session, and I know we'll spend more time together.
And I can't wait to get to know you more too, Adora.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have a great day. All right, man. This is so wild. Jessa, I know is in our green room. I'm excited to bring the author of The Peaceful Millionaire to you. I'm going to see who else is in our green room. Courtney, this is hilarious. So we are a little bit behind. And both of these ladies know there's a reason we need to stay in our lane, right? And I jumped out of the lane, got excited, wanted more people to join. So I decided to jump in our technology, which is new, and send a text. And I invited every registrant to join on StreamYard, because that's what happens when you jump out. It's not what has to happen, but that's what happened today. And so that is fun. I did send another text with the Facebook link, but in that invitation, Roy Smooth jumped on, and you all have heard how I worked on the movie The Secret. And well, the way that happened is that a friend of mine who I met at another event that I put on, the first event I put on in person with Dennis Waitley, he said, hey, there's this documentary, we want Dennis on it. Do you know anyone else? I got to suggest Dr. DeMartini, and that's how that all went down. And it became the movie The Secret. And so Roy was like, well, guess what? I'm coming to Dallas. And now he's, the beach guy. It's part of his branding because he lives on the beach, and he literally followed April Beach, right? It was so divine, the timing. It's like always all working out. So I'm going to bring up our next guest. She's the author of The Peaceful Millionaire. She was literally in neurosurgery before, drilling holes in heads, and chose that there's a better way to work on the brain and the mind, and that she didn't have to, drill holes in heads. And now she's working on the mindset and the heart set and the spiritual set of what it takes to create abundance and wealth, but to do it in a peaceful way. Right? To have that peace, to ride the waves that Hoist Gracie and Dr. Yasmin Saad, and this theme of beach that we have continuing to go. And so I'm going to bring her onto the stage, one of my favorite people to spend time with. We've spent a lot of time together over the past couple of months. So Jessa, I can ask you questions, or I know I've asked you to jam because you're really great at that. I'd love to just give you the stage for a little bit and then come back on with some questions.
Yeah,
does that work for you?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right.
So Adora did a little bit of an introduction of me and who I am and what I'm about. So, but you're listening and you're like, who is this woman and why should I listen to her, right? So I'm Jessa Carter. I'm a mind and money surgeon, right? No scalpels or anesthesia required. And I revolutionize your financial life from the inside out using proven science-based tools and strategies so that financial freedom is fun, fast, and simple for you, right? So I have a question. I want to open with a question. And the question that I have for you is, how rich can you be? How rich? How rich can you be? And the answer is you can be as rich as you choose to be, or as rich as your current level of contentment. So most people have two lives. You have two lives. You have the life that you are living, and you have the life that you are capable of living. The life that you are living and the life that you are capable of living. And I remember early on my journey when I first learned about financial freedom and what that even was. I mean, there was a time in my life I didn't even know what the two words financial freedom connected together even meant, right? So what is financial freedom? Financial freedom is when your assets bring in enough money that it replaces your current income. So the goal of financial freedom is to be financially free first with your current lifestyle, and then build upon that so that you have your desired lifestyle and that you are financially free in that as well. Now, unfortunately, that's not how most people are living, right? Most people, it's you earn more money, you spend more money. You make more money, you spend more money. You make more money, you spend more money, right? So you think that by working hard and making more money, so then you go and buy all the toys, you go and buy all of the things, right? So you're starting backwards, right? You're starting backwards. So you can make a whole lot of money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're keeping it, or that you have money working for you rather than you trading time for money, right? So there's a lot of people trading time for money rather than choosing to invest some time, some money, and some energy into financial freedom. So one of my mentors, Bill Walsh, he always says this. He said most people settle, like most people aren't willing to do the things now so that they can have the life later that most people never will, right? So that's a choice. That's a choice that people make. When you see people living a life of freedom, a life of luxury, a life of, peacefulness and joy, and if that's something that you strive for, that is a choice, right? So these people have taken time to do the things that are required now so that they can have the life and the things that they choose to have later. The financial destiny of your choosing is yours to choose, right? So again, remember, how rich can you be? As rich as you choose to be, or as rich as your current level of contentment. It is absolutely your birthright. It is your divine birthright to be rich, to have wealth, to have riches. It may not feel that way right now. That may not feel real or true right for you right now. And if that's not the case, then that's okay. I remember the first time that someone said those words to me, and the first time someone said those words to me was Oprah. And I remember thinking to myself in my head, well, easy for you to say, Oprah, right? And at the time, I didn't believe that. I didn't feel that to be true for myself. So the path to getting to, so how do you get there, right? So how do you master money? How do you master money? You master money by mastering the inner world of money. There's actually two worlds of money. You master money by mastering the inner world of money. That's your inner world, your psychology that is set up for money or for scarcity, right? So which way is your psychology programmed? Are you programmed for that scarcity, for that lack, for that fear? Or is your psychology programmed for wealth, for peace, for abundance, for prosperity, for more? And know that it is absolutely natural. It is actually natural for you to desire to have more. It is normal to desire riches, to desire wealth. It is actually normal. That is something that is innate in you, in your cells, to have you choose to this desire for you to advance in life. So you master money by mastering the inner world of money, the outer world of money, and the bridge that connects the two, right? So your inner world of money is your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs about money, about rich people, right? About attaining riches and what that means and what that might look like or feel like. That's your inner world of money. The outer world of money is the world of finance, the world of investing, right? Actually managing money. And the bridge that connects the two is your relationship with money. So whether you like it or not, whether you want to or not, you have a relationship with money. And similar to any other relationship, that relationship can either be tumultuous, stressful, unsupportive, or that relationship can be peaceful, loving, supportive, empowering, right? So how is that relationship, right? And the thing is, the reason the relationship with money is so important, because I always talk about big numbers. I talk about big numbers, right? The peaceful billionaire. Your mind is a $27 billion asset with 27 billion kilowatts of power. That is how valuable your mind is. You are walking around with a $27 billion asset right here between your ears. So the question is, knowing that, what are you prepared to do about it, right? So you have to learn how to leverage this value and leverage the power behind it, those 27 billion kilowatts of power that you can use to create the financial destiny of your choosing. And there's an actual science and a psychology to wealth, to money, to getting rich. And it's broken down to two simple things. And those two simple things are: you think in a certain way, you act in a certain way. Think in a certain way, you act in a certain way. So the thing is it's simple. It sounds so simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. If it were easy, everyone would do it, right? If it were easy, everyone would be financially free, and have this incredible lifestyle of their choosing. But most people don't, right? Because remember, most people, you have two lives. You have this life that you're living and the life that you're capable of living. And you have to choose which one you're going to settle for. No one can raise the bar in your life or raise the standard except for you. And there are four keys. There are four keys to financial freedom. And those four keys, I'll talk about each one a little bit more in depth, but those four keys to financial freedom are a solid plan, a vision that pulls you towards it, the psychology and the actions to support it. Remember, the science of wealth: you think in a certain way, you act in a certain way, right? So that's one of the keys to financial freedom, right? Is the psychology, the thinking in a certain way, and the actions to support that. And then fun execution. Why fun? Well, because if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. If it's not fun, if you're not enjoying the process, right, then what's the point? It's about the journey. It's never about the destination, right? You've heard this before. This is not new. Life is a journey, not a destination. However, if you're not enjoying the journey, no matter how grandiose that destination is, once you get there, if you didn't enjoy the journey, you're not going to, the destination is never going to be as sweet. So it's about the journey. It's about the journey and being able to enjoy this path to financial freedom, to a life that you never imagined possible. I often talk about a logic-defying life by design. A logic-defying life by design. That's that vision. That's that vision that pulls you forward towards it, towards this life. You have to have the clarity. I remember also early on my journey, there were all these questions about, well, what do you want? Well, at the time, I was still in a 10-year career in neurosurgery. I had been working 60 to 80 hours a week, slaving my life away. I had no idea what I wanted. I had no idea what was even truly, really possible out there in the world. But at that point, I had a really clear picture of what I didn't want anymore. Right. And so that's where a lot of people are. And if you're there, that's okay. Right. If you're there, that's okay. But that's the challenge, is most people are much more clear on what they don't want in life than what they do want in life. And you have to be supremely clear on what it is that you do want. You have to have this vision to pull you forward towards it. And when you have that clarity of a vision for the lifestyle, the life that you want to live, you're automatically going to be pulled towards it. You're automatically going to be called and guided to become the person you need to become who has that life. You're automatically going to be pulled and guided to the tools and the resources to support you on that journey, to make that possible for you. And the solid momentum. Yeah, momentum can be tricky. Momentum can be tricky. That's the psychology. That's the psychology and the actions that you need to support it, right? And that's the tricky part, because remember, I mentioned this inner world of money. That's your thoughts, that's your feelings, that's your beliefs about what it is that you think about money. What are those beliefs that you have? What is the relationship that you have with money? Because the thing is, this is the outer world of money, that outer world of money, money itself, the outer world of money, the world of finance, investing, that world is neutral. The dollar signs, the numbers, money itself is neutral. But how you feel about money most likely is not neutral. Financial stress is one of the number one reported stresses throughout the entire world, but especially here in America. And stress is that's not helping the journey. The stress is killing you. So is there a way, right? Is there a way to be on a path to creating financial freedom, to building wealth and riches for yourself that is fun and easy? And there is, right? There is. And that's the work that I do with the client, because when you change what's going on in your psychology, what's going on in that inner world of money, simultaneously changing what your actions are that you're executing in the outer world of money, and simultaneously changing that bridge, that relationship with money. That's how those two worlds of money communicate, is your relationship with money, is how the outer world of money, the inner world of money are communicating. You change and you transform that relationship with money, and you're simultaneously changing your inner world of money. You have an operating system. There's a whole operating system in there, right? That is either keeping you stuck or propelling you forward. So that's where, when you create the change simultaneously in both the inner world, the outer world, and that bridge, you're now bridging the gap to get you from where you are to where you want to be so much faster. You can actually collapse time when you're using 100% of your mind. Remember, I mentioned that the mind is a $27 billion asset. But most people are only using 5% of it. So if you're only using 5% of this $27 billion asset that you have, that's powered by 27 billion kilowatts of power, if you're only using 5% of that, you're only using 5% of your potential. So when you start to use 100% of your mind, and you back it up with 100% of those 27 billion kilowatts of power, that's already yours. It's already yours. It's already within you. So it's just about accessing it, harnessing it, and then directing it towards the financial destiny of your choosing, and letting it be easy and letting it be fun. There's this whole hustle culture out there where it's hustle, 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 go, 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 do, do, do. And yes, there are things that you have to do, right? You have to have a plan. You have to execute the plan. There are things you have to do, but my question is always, who are you being while you're doing the things that you need to do? Who are you being while you're doing the things? Because all of the money in the world, all of the riches in the world is not going to feel good if you're mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally bankrupt. So that's why you have these extremes in the world. You have people with money beyond imagination, more money than they could ever possibly spend, yet they're miserable. And then you have someone who might be considered poor by most people's standards, who is the happiest person alive, right? So the money doesn't give you the happiness. So the opportunity is to be rich always in all ways. I invite you to this opportunity, to this possibility to be rich always in all ways. Yes, I want you to be more financially rich and successful. That's my jam. Mind, money, success, mastery. That is my jam. And it is my intention for you to have that. But it is also my intention for you to be rich always in all ways, so that you're gaining riches, more and more and more riches financially. But you're also in a position in your inner world where you're enjoying that process of acquiring more money, accumulating more money. And that you're also in a place where you can enjoy living and spending it. Right? So that psychology of money, there's multiple money personalities. There's 6. I teach all 6 in some of my work. But the two most common ones are spenders and savers. Right? That money personality, that's the most common. Those two are the most common. So the spend, right? So you might be making a whole lot of money, but you're spending a whole lot. Or you're the saver, and you're saving it for what, a rainy day that you're never actually going to, that may actually never come, and you may never enjoy it. So there's this whole fun, amazing world. And it can be fun, and it can be easy.
I love okay, we're wrapping up. I get the body language. So here we go. Ta-da. We're such a show woman, all of us. It's so fun. And I'm so glad that we got to dive a little bit. That question is so powerful about who are you being as you're doing the things. And identity continues to be a theme. It is a core theme, as long as, further back than Aesop's fables, right? As identity and character and all of that. But I love who are you being and what do you believe? And I know that you are really good at helping people unlock those aha moments so that they can really enjoy, if they're already creating wealth, enjoy instead of stressing out, uptight, living a miserable life with all the Scrooge-ish kind of life, and also unlock people to whole new rhythms. I know you're about to say something. We have our next guest in the audience, or in the green room. She's been there a little bit. Will you tell everyone about the free gift that they're going to get when we release those gifts later?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned the 4 keys to financial freedom, right? The solid plan, the vision that pulls you towards it, the psychology and actions to support that, and then fun execution. And one of those being the vision. So the gift that I have for you is the Design Your Peaceful Billionaire Life. So you're actually going to you get a whole workbook that guides you through that process step by step to start to get really supremely clear on what this incredible, extraordinary, peaceful billionaire life looks like for you.
That is so important. There's a reason that there's a book that says, without a vision, the people perish. Some of you know that book. There's a reason why almost every book starts with what can you see for yourself? What is the vision? Where do you want to go? I love that Alice in Wonderland, well, where do you want to go? I don't really know. Okay, then just go anywhere. Any path will work. It really is the starting point. And like you said, when you were working 60 hours a week, sometimes grabbing a vision can be the hardest thing that you do. So having someone walk you through a process that opens your mind, your heart, your vision, because once you have that vision, things just start moving in. And I mean, just choosing. And some of you won't choose a vision because you don't want to choose the wrong one, or you want to get it so right, or or no, I don't want something that I can't have. I remember when I was 18, 19, I wouldn't even walk into a Nordstrom because I was like, I don't want it because I'm going to want it and I'm going to be pissed that I can't bring it home. Right. But when I realized walking in created the resources, and then I had a whole other problem of debt reduction. No, I'm just kidding. It was part of it. Okay. It was part of the journey along the way. But the point is that a vision is the starting point. And not just a vision for billions, a vision for millions. It's that peaceful billionaire level, that peaceful millionaire, whatever your next level is. So Jessa, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We'll arrange your VIP session to have Q&A with our VIPs. Our team will follow up with you this week. It likely won't be me because you saw what happened in Rainmaker, right? It'll be the team. So pay attention. And I love you so much.
Super. I love you too. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. All right, everybody. What a full day. I mean, my friends are freaking awesome. They're just so awesome. And the people that I get to hang out with. And I don't say that in an arrogant way. I say that like, I want to share that with you. That is what's available. That's why you want to get in the rooms. That's why we spend this time opening the rooms, because I know if you catch something that opens you, activates you, your whole life can change completely, utterly. Like some of you are going to have $50,000 licensing deals that have been sitting on content forever. Right? Jessa, you need to meet my licensing deal person. I'll introduce you. Okay. Courtney, you too. Some of you are going to figure out you don't need great credit to have your company be funded, because there's a woman who does story-based lending and she loves getting behind women. How many of you could use some funding, right? And those are two different funding opportunities that amplify your ability to get support, to have impact, and that's just a tip of what we've talked about today. Oh, we haven't talked about funding? I'm so glad you all are interested in that, because my next guest, Courtney Murray, has been in this financial industry for years, and for many years, and part of their bread and butter business has been, working in a man's world. I'm not going to tell all the story. Let me back out of there, but in the funding, and got a heart for women and entrepreneurship and how to get more money in the right hands so that women can do more good work, have more power, have more freedom, own their voices and their wild authenticity, which you do so well, Courtney. I love that poster of you at NASDAQ TV in the back. This woman's not, well, we all love to joke. Actually, most of the people in my circle, we are jokesters, but she's the real deal. And Courtney, I just love so much your stand. So thank you for being here. And anything that you want to share, top of mind, top of heart, about who you are, what you're up to, and then I'll stay here for questions. Or if you want to jam, you can jam.
I'll jam.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Laura, so good to see you. Thank you for having me today. I am so happy to be here, and I know that there have been 3 days of amazing speakers, so I feel very honored to be here with you today. I will tell you a little story about myself. I'm Courtney Murray. Like Adora said, I am the CEO and founder of Coastal Capital, but I am a 3-time entrepreneur, 2-time failed. And it was not from lack of passion that I failed. I undercapitalized myself. And so, one of the things that I teach here at Coastal Capital and have for many, many years is the education on business finance, because mostly for women entrepreneurs, there are a lot of gaps. And what we try to do here is we really, really want to bridge that gap for women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs all throughout the United States. My mindset is always going to be health, wealth, and happiness. And so, what we try to do is become very effective on giving the entrepreneur back their time and creating a mindset of opportunity cost. And so, one of the things that I have realized over the years of being in a man's world, heavy construction financing, you name it, we've done it, is that there is an issue with understanding entrepreneur stories. When you're applying for financing as a business owner, or if you're trying to bridge the gap with some working capital or doing a capital raise, the education on that is so hard, because we're taught since the 50s having a great credit score. What does that mean? In business finance, it's completely different, because we are really looking for if you're purchasing an asset or what you need the money for. But I really, really believe in understanding the concept of the entrepreneur. Are they going to be in the business of sweat equity? They're involved in it every day. They're not expecting a franchise to pay for itself and not put any time and effort in. We're looking for people who have the passion in their business to understand the concept and not just the needs today. We want to see what the needs are for long term. One of the greatest parts of having this business is the partnerships that we're building and the education that we're serving. And so we are really, really in a mindset of helping that time management and education on how to package a file up for the right type of financing that you're looking for. My company doesn't do everything in the world, but what we love as women in this industry is that I have collaborated with some unbelievable partners. And so we are able to toss ideas back and forth. And so we really like to just, I love to talk about the entrepreneurship's mindset, because when I brought up failing before, I'm really 100% that the failure was not from any sort of lack of passion. And I think that that's what we all struggle with. We all come into entrepreneurship and it's so exciting. You're building something of your own. And a lot of times people look for capital where they're giving away a lot of their equity in their business before they need to do that. And so we also want to look at wealth management. How do we create wealth? You can create job security, but wealth is a completely different animal. Creating wealth takes opportunity cost, and opportunity cost take cash. It takes liquid. So we really teach our clients to build over time. So financing is a great option. So if you're buying equipment for your business or you're looking at leveraging something for your business, it's really nice to have a payment that you can pay over a term and you can write off the interest in that term. And that also starts serving as a tax shelter. And so we really here try to educate. I know that working with Adora and doing quite a few of these virtual summits, as well as some live summits, it's really been interesting to me that even people like Adora pointed out here on NASDAQ, I met so many people in the field of venture capitalists, people who give equity to businesses, who are funding $40 million plus to these major companies. And I was there, with the mindset that here I am, these are the things I know. And I couldn't believe how many people were grabbing me after saying, Courtney, I didn't know that this was a fact. I didn't know we could finance this type of equipment. I didn't know I didn't have to pay $15,000 for the sign outside my building, and I could have paid for it as the sign paid for itself. There are certain assets to your business that you absolutely do not need to pay cash for. And so what we really want to do is let women entrepreneurs and all the entrepreneurs out there know that there are companies that allow for just bridging the gap in the education to help assist with anything that's upcoming in the future.
So awesome. I know when I jump in, it's a little distracting because that's like, am I supposed to talk? Am I not supposed to talk? I'm trying to make you big, and the team just loves when I touch things, and you would think I learned already. So maybe the team can make you big and put me on the side so I can ask some questions. But yeah. I want to bring this in. I know we've got people watching from all over, and there are replays, and we're restreaming. And so you all put your questions, put your comments in here, because there are people that are going business financing. I watched a webinar about that. I have to go get a Dun & Bradstreet. I have to go do this. I have to go do all that. It's too much work. It's on my to-do list. I first need to build a funnel. Then I need to put my offer together. I'm trying to figure out how to work with the team. I'm gonna come to that later. So is there anything you can share? Is it like that? Or okay, then give us like some simple steps, because money loves speed. If you're going to get this money, like many of you would be like, wow, I didn't know that it was that simple. And I want you to hear that. I know it's Saturday. I know you're doing stuff, but I want you to hear it. I didn't do that. I want you to hear it. And then I want you to take action. All right. So Courtney, yes, please.
So yes, when you are looking at starting a business, you do not have to take all of those steps. You actually can file online for your own LLC or your own corporation, depending on how you want to run your business. There's advocates like us that can help walk you through that are free of charge. It's just a quick call on what do I need to apply. The biggest thing I could give you to take away is take a look at your personal credit. You can look at it free online. We do not, as a business trade line, report to the personal credit at all. But if you are a startup business, we want to see that you have some installment debt, which would mean a car payment or something that would have the same payment over time, showing that you've been able to make that payment. So a credit card wouldn't be in the qualifications of installment debt. It would be a vehicle or a mortgage or something that's an installment. We like to see that. We like to see a business plan, but you don't need a Dun & Bradstreet. You don't even need to have perfect credit. You need a story, you need a concept, and you need a solution. So what is your business going to create? What type of solution are you creating for your clients? And we want to understand that. And when you can create that solution, and why are you a little different than your competitor? What is your story? What is your passion? What does your resume look like? Those are the things that are way more important than having a Dun & Bradstreet set up, way more important than having a funnel created, because we can help with advertising cost and marketing costs, but you have to start somewhere. And it's easier to grow than it is to take away. So find an advocate to help walk you through these things.
So find an advocate, but I love amplifying points that I hear that may be, going over. And so either a car payment or a mortgage payment. Mm-hmm. So having an ongoing installment payment is what you called it, not credit card, not something else. Having decent credit, right? Having an advocate to help them, right? Having a basic business plan, which, by the way, you could write that with ChatGPT-4 right now, you guys. So no excuse. A basic that would be way above what most of you would do on your own. No offense to your intelligence. I just know entrepreneurs, you're busy doing the things and studying and whatever. And some of you will really geek out on awesome business plans. But with ChatGPT-4, you could write your business plan in literally 5 minutes. Maybe it would take you 3 hours if you keep going back and forth and refining it and adding your input. And then they need a story and a solution. So give me an example of what a story is for you. So they don't need a Dun & Bradstreet, you guys, and you don't need incredible credit. Business plan, installment payment that's been going for a while, a decent credit score, doesn't have to be great, a business plan, basic, an advocate, a story, and a solution. So give me an example maybe of someone that you funded on your story-based lending in your company, so that we can wrap our brains around that.
Sure. We actually have one right now that I'm thinking of it definitely needed a bit of a story. And I'm sure a lot of you know and are aware of the IV lounges that are out there, with the B12 and the vitamins and the things that they're doing. And they're, they are able to bring the IV lounges to your location. And so we have one currently that wants to secure funding for an RV. And does an RV make sense for an IV lounge? Well, if she were to apply online, that wouldn't make sense at all, because that piece of equipment, how is that going to create some sort of wealth for the company or some sort of opportunity cost for the company? So creating a story around the fact that they've grown out of the van, they have more need because the outfitting the RV with outfitting for the IV lounge allows them to take it on the road and be market to a lot more people. They can end up wrapping it. So we were able to help assist them not only with the RV, but also the marketing for it, and really created this diversion of how much more money they would be bringing in if they were able to hit this part of town, or if they were able to do some sort of wellness retreat, they could go to the wellness retreat. So there's some amazing things once we understand the business opportunity. And another thing I want you all to know is that we don't report to personal credit. And so if you do start establishing that business line of credit, you wouldn't believe how many people that we work with that, I mean, they're in the $30 million range and they've hit a cap because they didn't use funding. And now they need to use funding and they haven't built that business credit line. It's just as important as building your personal credit, but they're two completely different animals. And so we are trying to educate on the business finance, and don't ever give up a dream or a concept or an addition to the business without talking to someone that can advocate and become someone truly interested in the concept, because we can help assist with the story if the story isn't perfect. You don't have to be in business to have a story yet. You can have a dream, and then once you start creating that dream, we can start creating the true concept of making it real. And so it's a really fun process when you are somebody who is an entrepreneur or have a mindset of growth and potential that you can bring in. In now's day and age, it's amazing to have more products than one, and more than a brick and mortar. We can have online stores and these beautiful virtual summits that we have, and collaboration, and then brand currency.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I mean, we're sitting here and I'm just thinking of people that I need to bring to you, like as a connector. That's what my brain does. And so I'm going to say a few of those things out loud. Then I want you to know, if you're in VIP, we're going to be scheduling a VIP Q&A with Courtney. So you could ask her or her husband, hey, would we qualify? How would we qualify? What's missing? What resources should I go to? Where do I find a free advocate? Where do I find a pay? What's like those questions? That action will get you in motion. And like Courtney said, then you have the funding for marketing. Then you have the funding for a real funnel, right? And an effective you have the tools that you need to actually scale. It's very powerful. A couple of the people that I was thinking of. Oh, yes. So a couple of the people that I was thinking of that you, one, you already know, I've already connected you with him.
Yeah.
And for the lady you were just talking about, he has access to NAD and also something else they put in the IVs that's like high in demand, only certain yeah. So you all got to get together, can strengthen her unique selling proposition, and I'll help put some things in there. And then the I Am Fitness brand clothing that has that great story. And yeah, you'll love it. Minority owned. She's from the financial industry, so I don't even know if it's going to be a fit. But the point is, I love that you choose, and you choose based on things that light you up and that you have an interest in and you want to get behind, right? And the other criteria that you gave.
And another thing that we're going to be doing, and we just started it. I'm creating a podcast, and it's actually just to educate. It's for a lot of our current clients, but it's going to be called Chaos to Capital, because my clothing store that failed was Chaos. That was the name of it. And then Capital. And it's going to talk about entrepreneurship from the beginning all the way to the expansion. And so that will be a free tool for anyone who's interested in getting in the business and seeing the things that are the caveats and the ups and downs and the all arounds. But we want to start this for our clients that are current, and then our listeners and anyone who's interested in just seeing how to bridge the gap, because we have access to, billions of dollars, and it's just women, minorities. I'm speaking in these events that we want to be able to get it into the hands of the right people, because as women, and I'm in a man's world, but I will say as women, we are very it's amazing the women that I've met the last year that have collaborated. We're here to really help and nurture and educate. And we just want everyone to lift up. And that's,
right.
It's like, let's lift each other up. And that's how the world's going around. And that's why we're able to continue connecting partnerships and friendships and things like that. And
I love it. And Carlotta, who is on this, that's my tax strategist. I want to introduce you all personally too. So please remind me. I know all you need is another meeting on your book, just like me. We were laughing about that. Right? We're both like, I have people for my people now. It's funny. But in her year 2 and in their wealth building strategies, she helps people find and acquire businesses. And she was laying out a business that has 400,000 cash flow per year, 40 years in business, selling for 1.2 million with 100,000 down, already has the operator. It's just that people are ready to retire.
40 years is very impressive. They did it right, because there's not a lot of businesses that can say that.
Well, exactly. And what Carlotta does as a tax strategy is she'll show people, instead of paying that higher level taxes, buy a business, buy cash flow, but they need lenders, right? For that 10% down. So I think you would be it's a perfect collaboration to get in each other's ecosystem. And maybe we'll do a pop-up, get your business funded, kind of a buy, sell, fund a business acquisition or something. I'll figure it out.
Acquisition. I would love it.
Yeah.
I'm open to anything, because we can always find a way to help each other. Even if it's not us helping directly, we have a platform. I sit on our banking association board. So we have platforms of so many different ways it means to capital. And that's what we're trying to do, create wealth management.
Yeah, it's so awesome. And let me just check the time, because, we were a little bit behind, and I want to say something about that. Cool. We are good. Now let me find our StreamYard again. There we are. Okay. So, I know Jessa is still in the green room and kind of hanging out, and many of you know part of our offer I'll give at the end, where we're raising money for the shelter in New Mexico that houses children. Yeah, this is good, Nicole. And Nicole, this is the right woman for it, that houses and rescues and intercepts children from sex trafficking here in the US. And so we put together this crazy offer that includes a couple of my connection workshops, as well as Eric Sorensen's 100K and 100 days that begins in June, and then 2 live events or 2 tickets to see Les Brown live and me live and Eric live in Atlanta. And Courtney, yes, absolutely. Courtney will be there speaking as well. And it's going to be less than 100 entrepreneurs. So it's going to be super intimate, and we took what was really, $30,000-$40,000 offer and made it $2,500, which all of that goes to this initiative, right? So we'll make sure we get that link up later, and I'll cover it later. But those of you who've been hanging and you go, oh, I want that skill of connection, and how does it work? That just happened live, right? And it happens live all the time. Like when Roy Smooth came on, he went, oh, I've got to connect you with some people in the UK, and I'm going to be in Dallas. And then, Rudy, that's my Iron Man. He really is an Iron Man. Woo woo, look at those muscles and fire. I'm so distracted. Story of our lives together. Just kidding. Kind of. So, but then Courtney, as we're talking and I'm hearing what she's creating and what she's vested in, then different people from my community are popping into my mind, both that could benefit from her or that Courtney could benefit from, right? And so that whole ability to see like that and become resourced like that speaks to what Courtney was talking about, that we really can use our gifts, our talents, the areas that we're wealthy, and rise together. And that's what this whole event has been about for entrepreneurs. How do we help you rise as heart-centered, contribution-minded entrepreneurs so that you rise the community up with you, right? And then as we're doing that, how do we make it a safe place for children and help the people that don't have a voice right now, right? How do we help them get activated? So this is twofold. And if you're really paying attention, you can pick up some things about connection. You can pick up, business funding. Most of the wealthy don't use their own money to create the cash flow. They put other money in play and at risk so they can grow, they can have a stable life, so they have the emotional capacity to actually be present for their business. And Courtney is saying, hey, this is way easier than you think. You don't need to go through that 40. I mean, Courtney, like 2011, when I came back to the US from Egypt, a girlfriend of mine, Amy, the guy she was dating was in business funding. And it was literally like a binder of 40 steps that you had to take and all these things, right? And it felt really complex. And with a new baby, and I fled Egypt when the wars were broken out, I was pregnant. And so my mom, I didn't have the bandwidth for all of that. And what you just shared was that it doesn't take that. It takes and most of you are ready right now. If you would just, and if you're not ready, you could sign up for the $47 VIP, where you not just get to spend time with Courtney, but a whole bunch of other of our experts. And you could say, what do I need to be ready? Right? What do I need? There it is. UpriseBusinessAmplifier.com/VIP. VIP hasn't even started yet. You're going to get the schedules. They'll be trickling out over it because we have to work with the speakers, and you'll be in a Zoom room. But you may get in that room and get funding. You may perk up Courtney's heart and ears, and she may not even know she was looking for you, or you may get the tool that has you, doing that soon. So Courtney, anything else you want to say or share?
I just want to say, whatever you have planned here, you can create it here. It's just mindset. And that's why I always say wealth, health, and happiness, because wealth comes when you have the solution. Happiness comes when you have your time. And happiness is just something that you have to derive internally. But if you have an idea, don't let it go. Don't let people knock it down. Go out there for the people who want to uplift and help you get there, because there are there's a whole slew of us who want to see that. So,
And what about health? You talked about all the other. No, you're good.
Health has a lot for me. Health has a personal thing. It's really time. You have to have the balance, mostly as an entrepreneur, because we have a tendency to work through 20-hour work days and things like that. And if you don't have your health, then you can't have the wealth and the happiness. So you have to make time and balance. You have to realize that if you spend time away, it's funny. I went and shut off. This is a quick story, but I went and shut off my phone for 3 full days, went on a mini vacation, and I've never shut off my phone. And we have a huge new client that we met in the pool. And I thought, if I hadn't been on this vacation, this is something that we just took a downtime from our phone, from the pressure, and it's reset. And so health is the most important, or you can't be there to educate others, and mostly for your solution.
I agree. I mean, I work out every day, and part of the reason that I post those pictures, it started with 75 hard, right? And sometimes I feel weird, like taking the selfie when the gym's full, and I'm like, yay, but, and you can tell, some of you will now be able to tell when I'm like, trying to like sneak it in, but it's because one, I want to give the message to the accountability to myself, to my community. And then the other is that it's a daily practice. And after, I highlight all of those so you can see how many days went into whatever level of health I created as far as the physical part, right? And the next level now is I'm accountable for my macros. And then I'll be accountable for more green foods in my, right? But health, if you don't have it, you're so right, then you're distracted from everything else.
Yeah, we end up showing up for as entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, we show up for everyone but ourselves. And so showing up for myself has been one of the most important things that I've triggered this year. And I realized how important it was because I got really sick. I've been traveling and speaking and on TV and running a company. And you realize that your steam, it has to be coming from somewhere. And I had a little bit of a rude awakening for myself. And that was something that we take for granted because we want to give it to everyone else and we have to make it for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's why our brains function the best, honestly, whether it's a workout in the day or a mini vacation or even driving in the car with your favorite music on, do something for yourself and do something physical for the endorphins because it's something so important to our just balance in our life. And so I love that you do that.
Yeah, well, and we have, my fiance has Body Legacy. It's a wellness company, and I have equity in that company, but he leads the vision. It's just so we met in a gym. It's so I find so many people, however they express it, Jessa, Eric, health and fitness become foundational. Dennis Waitley says that good stress, bad stress, it all builds up in our bodies. And so that adrenaline needs a place to go, even if it's like the excitement of making your first million or billion. It needs to go somewhere, and that physical movement is so important. So I love that you work that into your core philosophy. We will be live in Atlanta on stage with Les Brown. Jessa will be there as well, speaking. And we're going to be in New York with Dining Divas, which is huge. So I know Jessa's in New York, so we have some things to talk about there. And Courtney, we need to pull you into one of those episodes sometime.
Let's do it.
I know we got to talk about it. Whether it's New York, we have so many things coming up. Colombia, Think and Grow Rich cruise. It's really cool. Virgin cruise in January. Like it's a big deal. So I love and appreciate you. I'm so glad. Here's another thing about attending things like this, you all. I want you to be very active. Be active in the chats like Tiffany has, Al has, Nicole, because this is where my best friend in the world, who was on yesterday in the chats anyway, Mesa, I met her at an event, at a landmark event. And you and I met because you were a speaker on an event that we held. I think it was the New Psychology of Winning tour. It was the Think and Grow Rich tour. Jessa, I met at an event. She was speaking at a Think and Grow Rich event in Vegas. You just, you meet your people.
Yes.
And this is the value. Before I bring the next speaker, I'd love for you to talk to this, because you're going through it again right now. I know, because we talked on the phone. You know, when you're working so much and you're driving a vision and your life, it's all in momentum. A lot of times, first of all, a leader will only get so far without tribes and mentors and people pulling them up. But when you go into that cave where you're holding everything, being everything, moving everything, you don't get to find out that you could have a licensing deal, right? That you could have a $50,000 to $1 million licensing deal in the next 90 days, or you could be funded. Courtney could be the one who's funding you. Like, you don't get to know those things unless you make the time to get in the rooms. And you also, I love that you attracted your client in the pool. I mean, that's awesome. So anything you want to say about team, or that kind of team, not just your team, but being in rooms with the right people?
Well, I do believe that energy creates energy. Energy attracts energy. And so I can speak for my own personal experience from hiding behind a screen for so many years and building this. I'm a person that needs to be, I'm an extrovert. So being an introvert for a while, you lose touch of how many people are there to uplift. And one of the crazy things this year is not just for myself, but I have a client that was looking for a very large capital raise, something that we could never even get our arms wrapped around at the time. And through collaboration, through the people that I've met, we were able to introduce him to the right people they were able to raise over $42 million. And now his product is going into Walmart's, Home Depot's. He's over in Dubai. He's speaking and creating this product that is absolutely changing the world. And without the things and without the collaboration and without the uplift, I wouldn't be on, this. I wouldn't have met you, Adora. I wouldn't have done the things I've done to create a voice that you realize people need to hear. We all have something that is important to get out there. And it's just like sales, law of averages. It's the more people you speak with, the more people that are going to lift you up here. And then you start changing the circle, because you start having the uprise of your life. And it's an amazing thing. So these circles, these chat rooms, the collaboration, it's 100% what is creating wealth for many people in abundance. And so I am 100% behind that.
Awesome. Courtney, remind me, Tony just nudged that he's in real estate and contracting and sure needs the money, so he'll be in touch. Get in VIP, Tony.
Awesome.
Yeah, but what that reminded me is I have a big real estate mogul that's always, and you may already know who it is, but I want to make that connection because he has tons of people. And here's what I would do. Those of you who have thought about, I'm a connector, or how do you profitably connect? And I saw Tiffany was like, oh my gosh, I could never, I don't want to make profit on connections. But what do you think a real estate agent does? Right. What do you think anyone who, is putting together deals, an investor with an investment, that is, oh, good, Tony, you're in VIP. That is creating a profitable connection. So here's a little insight. What I'm going to do with Courtney is I'm going to dig in. I'm going to find out fresh what she's looking for. And then I'm going to give open doors of opportunity for people in my world that perhaps match what she's looking for. And then I'll be worked into the deal flow. And Courtney and I've already talked about that. But because we're spending time together, it's really fresh again on my heart, right? So it's not about using people. It's not about, I'm going to go in. It's about you creating value and having an elegant way to say, I want to be worked into this. right? I want to be worked into the deal flow. And guess what? If you're worked in, you're going to work harder for them.
Absolutely.
You're going to, because you're benefiting too. And that is the flow that should be happening, right? And I know a lot of you are networkers and you get it back in different ways. So it doesn't always have to be like that. But I'm speaking specifically to connectors that do it all the time and go, how do I create income out of that, right? The world is abundant. There's actually so much abundance. You could totally have a life of income by bringing Courtney great companies that she's in love with. And that do you think companies that got funded, how happy they're going to be that you brought them? Like, you could have a great life. That's just one of many ideas that have been thrown out here. So it is collaborative. It is beautiful. Courtney, thank you so much. I love you
So much. It was great to see you again. And I hope the rest of the day is amazing with all of the speakers. I can't wait to watch.
Yay, we only have 2 more. We've got a surprise guest and we have Linda coming up now. So awesome.
Great.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody. You're scared of it, but you need to do it. That's right. That's right. And Tiffany, I don't know, team, if you have my booking link that I gave. Let me see if I can grab it. Because some of you, I know you really want this offer, but you're like, is it going to work for me? Am I okay? You know, so I'm going to make sure you have my, I'll take a few one-on-one chats about just to answer your questions, to figure out, you know, is there a part that's a fit for you? So Tiffany, that might be something that would be good for you, because I feel you like chomping at the bits, like I need this, I want this. It's some things in the way. So we'll figure that out together. And then there was one more comment before we bring up our next. Oh yes, Angela, collaboration. Tony, Nicole, Jamie, you had a question about where do you go once in the website? Can you post in the chat what website you mean? I did send you a message, but I'm not positive. And then we're going to find my booking link, and I'll also email it out because we have less people. I don't know if the team knows where it is today. The team being me and Lisa. Go us. Go us, Lisa. All right. So our next guest, I'm very excited to bring up with you. We are going to be, yes, VIP connections. Yes. So Linda Wilson, we're going to bring up, I'm going to have her share with you a very powerful and activating practice that it's my intention that we elevate our energy right here on Saturday together, that we move forward and elevate the energy around us. And that when that happens, magic happens. And as much as we've thrown out strategies and tactics and all of that, moving into spaces that will inspire us, uplift us, so that we have the energy to take action on the strategies. That's really important. It's that what Jessa and I also talk about, who are you being as you're doing the thing. So let me welcome Linda Wilson to the stage. Hello, Linda.
Hello, how is everybody doing?
Oh, so great. Great. So Linda, I would love for you just to give the audience a minute or so, a little background on, you know, how you got into the work that you're doing. And we are going to move into that process. Wink. We don't have to tell them that process yet, but I'd love for you to just share a little bit about what you do and how you got into the work that you're doing. And I'm going to put you center stage.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. First of all, haven't the speakers been phenomenal? Let's give them all a little bit, well, a lot of love. That's if you're getting value from today, put hearts and likes in the chat, and let's show them some appreciation, because that's what we need to do. And that's my niche. That's my topic today, showing appreciation. And I know most of you are here to get your latest technical skills and hard skills of growing your business to the next level, whatever that looks like for you. And that's important. But let's get a little untechnical for a bit and learn about growing your business and your relationships from the heart. And so, like Adora said, I'm Linda Wilson, and I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, author, and speaker. I'm an expert in emotional intelligence, emotional support, ethical influence, persistence, and thriving. And here's what I know: no matter what your business is, what you do, what industry you're in, or the size of your business, it's built on and continues in relationships. And it can be damaged or lost on the lack of them or the breaking of them. It's absolutely essential that you show your customers, your employees, your shareholders, your vendors, your family, your friends, everyone you encounter, that they are loved, valued, and appreciated. Now, before you decide I'm nuts, let me share a story with you. 12 years ago, I had an aortic dissection. What's it, you say? If any of you remember the actor John Ritter, that's what he died from. And what happens is the aorta splits, it dissects, and a person can bleed out. It's usually fatal. Well, I was very blessed to be in a public place. I thought I was having a heart attack, and my friend that was with me, Julie, she called 911, and then she walked down the street to the firehouse to show them where I was. She was very take charge. She rode in the ambulance with me, trying to get a hold of my husband, who was at the movies and had shut his phone off. Go figure. Now, I don't remember much of my time in the ER because I was in and out of consciousness for about 12 hours. But once they ruled out everything heart related, they called in Dr. Brett Reeves, who is an expert and an authority in aortic dissection and repair. And what I do remember him telling me was that he told me everything that was happening and that I was very blessed to still be alive. And I remember thinking, what if I had died and didn't get to tell my husband I loved him, or my son, or my mom? So the first thing I did was I called my mom to tell her what was going on and to say, I love you. And I told her that every day, right up to the day she passed. And I made sure I talked to my husband every day during the day to say, I love you. And then I started texting my son every day, and my sister, my brothers, my aunts, my uncles, my friends. I decided that night, May 4th, 2011, that I wasn't going to let the day go by without telling my people that I love them. I still do. I counted this morning and I sent 121 texts to people I care about saying, I love you. 121 individually by hand. Now, I'm not looking for kudos or applause or any recognition for this. I'm selfish. I do this for me because I can't bear the thought of it going another day unsaid if something were to happen to them or to me. And I don't expect people to reply back. That's not really why I do it. But you know what? On average, about half of them do reply back. And so we chat, we check in with each other. But what surprises me the most, how many say at one time or another, thank you. I needed that today. But now it's not just about me anymore. It's way bigger than me, much bigger. Now, full transparency, there are a few times over the years I've missed. I had 2 more open heart surgeries, and another time I was in ICU isolation for 5 months. But when I was able, I did it. Each surgery and illness just made it more apparent to me that I needed to keep it going for me and for my loved ones. So then I started ending my meetings by saying, love you. I end my emails with messages of love. Yes, even the work-related ones. The pandemic changed a lot the way people think and interact. And I know so many people affected by COVID. It just became second nature to me to say, I love you. And I really mean it. I don't say it to be cute or different or to stand out. I say I love you because I really do. I don't have to know you to love you. You're a human being with feelings. I may not know anything about you. But I know we all need to feel loved, valued, and appreciated. Now, remember what Maya Angelou said. She said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So showing them they are valued and appreciated is crucial. Think how it feels when someone recognizes you for something that you've done for them. I mean, even if you're shy about the attention, you can feel the love, right? And it's actually a pretty easy thing to do to show someone their love, value, and appreciated. There are a ton of ways to do that for people. So let's take a moment here and enter a few ideas in the comments. What ideas can you come up with? Give you a second there, and I'm going to take a quick drink to keep my voice going. Okay, well, let's see. Now, I know some people say things like thank you cards, gift cards, public recognition. Now, even if you're on a tight budget, there are a lot of ways to show people this, and many of them are free. That's right, you heard me, free. Now, Dr. Robert Cialdini talks about the small big, the smallest thing that you can do that has the biggest impact. And what could that be, I wonder? Smile. That's right, a smile. A smile is contagious. It lifts the atmosphere. Think about the people you hang around. Are most of the people pleasant, smiling, helping each other? Doesn't that give you a lift? I know it does for me. I know if someone's having an off day, or if I'm having an off day, a simple smile and a pleasant hello can really lift the spirit. Because most of the time a person's mood has nothing to do with you. They bring home to work, and work goes home with them. That's just a fact of life these days. So a smile, a kind word, a simple gesture make a huge difference in that person's day. And it doesn't cost you a thing. It's absolutely free, and it only takes a second. It's a small thing with a huge impact. Now, I mentioned earlier when I do that, I text a message of love and encouragement to those I care about. So here's my challenge to you. Take a moment and send a message of love to 3 people that you know. Just the first 3 names to pop into your head, text them right now and say, I love you. Or,
Wait a minute. I have to
thinking of
pop
you.
in for this. All right. If you're going
Okay.
to take this, I need you to put a heart in the comment, put something in the comment. I expect you to move on this. It's simple. She said the top 3 people, or the first 3 people. I'm doing it too. I
The
want you to
first 3
text
that
them
pop into
now.
your head, I want you to text, I love you, or I'm thinking of you. Do it right now. Go. I'll give you a second to do that. Let's just spread the love everywhere. Right here, right now. And when you're done, put a heart in the comments. Yay, Jamie, Tiffany. You guys, doesn't that feel great?
They're still doing it. Some of them dropped the heart before you said put the heart in the comments. So give them a moment.
Yes, your kids, your grandkids. Isn't that wonderful? I love doing this. This is like a total selfish thing for me because it makes me feel so good that I'm spreading this. And so, like right now, I'm just beaming at the love being shared right here, right now. Now, here's the next thing. If you'd like to receive a message of love and encouragement each day, raise your hand in the comments. Who'd like to have somebody say, I love you, I'm thinking of you today? Raise your hands. I know you're still texting your kids. And it does feel great.
All right, so I'm gonna pop in, Linda. We
Yeah.
have our next guest in the lobby, but look at the
Okay.
hands and the hearts that are going up. And I just want to acknowledge you and also tie this back into why on an event that's for entrepreneurs to go from 10K to 100K, are we wrapping with these ideas? And one of them is because every entrepreneur that I know desires, the ones that I know and hang out with, right? They want a life of connection and meaning and adventure with their loved ones. And part of that is not just working their heads off everywhere and having no other, core relationship. They want it all. They want to have meaningful relationships. And so these habits are so powerful, these habits of connection. And Linda, when I met you and heard after that happened, your story happened for you, and that for 12 years, just about every day you texted your mom, I love you.
I actually called my mom because mom didn't text.
Yeah. Okay. So you called her
I called
every
my
day.
mom every day.
Man, I mean, I'm thinking actually what I just thought is I need to do that with my mom so my daughter will do it with me. Because I want my kids, my sons do call and stay in touch. But the point is that it's a habit, just like brushing your teeth, just like, all these things are habits that we nurture in and have happen and get the meaning, like, why are you working so hard and who are you working so hard for? So Linda, thank you so much.
And I know the time is really tight, but I do have
Yes.
one more thing.
Yes, please.
And I'm going to put this up on the screen so they can see it. Hang on just
Okay.
a second. Oops. Screen.
Do. Jim, I can see you back there. I saw the slight smirk, even on the foggy. There's a foggy overlay when you're in the green room.
Yeah, there is kind of a foggy overlay, isn't there? And then
Yeah.
I have my fogger on. Okay. It's not going to let me do this. So let me do
Okay.
this. I want you guys to text heart, the word heart, HEART, to 833-249-0343. And what that'll do is that'll add you to my love list. We're making a love chain. And you will get a daily message of love and encouragement. And what I want you to do then is I want you to forward that on to people that you care about. And we're just going to make a big chain. And I went through a link to set this up. And if you can even set up your own, and they'll give you like 300 free credits to do it. So if you guys want that information, I'll see that I get it to Adora and she can share that with you guys.
Yeah,
is
so
there a way for
Linda,
me-
I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next guest, but what I'd like
Can
you
I
to
post the
do
number in
is
here?
hang around and put it in the chats,
Yes,
because there are
ma'am.
people who want it in the chat right now. And then Lisa, you can repost that for us, and we'll also send it out to everyone, because I love that. I love that. And
Perfect.
thank you so much for your time and energy. And we'll set up a session
you
where
for
people are
having me.
just messaging like wild together, like work hours, but you're working on spreading the love for those of you who want to participate in that.
So if I put it in the comment here, does that show up? Can you guys see that?
I don't see it, but what I would do is go on to Facebook. Tiffany, if you already did it, could you put it in the chat? Because you probably have the number. But we'll get back
I
with
can
it.
put it in the YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much, you
thank
guys.
you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Awesome. So we have had days and we're about to wrap. And I asked one of my friends and someone who's become one of my really, I have a handful of favorite people, maybe 2 hands and 2 feet full of very, very favorite people, if I was counting. And so I asked him to pop in. And I'm going to give you a little background. So some of you, okay, I'm also reading. There we go. So it's up there. There you go. It is done. All right. So we have gone for now 4 days. Today was a bonus day. We started with Les Brown, inspiring, uplifting, elevating. We talked with a webinar whisperer. We talked with a course whisperer. We had, Eric break down the 5 C's of commitment. I shared my journey, and what I believe is so important is what are you identifying with will create your identity, and that creates the level and the standard of your life. And we talked with Marley Jacks, who just canceled herself as an experiment in order to show what cancel culture, where it's going, and the challenge with that. So we have covered so many amazing things. We talked today about how you could license your work that you've already done to major corporations, how you could get funding, how you could become a peaceful millionaire, billionaire, right? And so we've taken you on a very beautiful journey. And I know that many of you are going to continue that journey with us. We have VIP sessions that will begin next week. They'll be in Zoom rooms. You'll have Q&A with some of our speakers. And we're coming to the end of today and of our time together. I also know many of you have heard about our offer to come be with us, Les Brown and myself and Eric and some of our speakers today in Atlanta, August 19th. And some of you may have questions for that. So we'll email out a link if you have questions. And some of you are just ready to go. You get that. You get Eric's 100K in 100 days. You're so welcome, Jamie. You're going to get so many things. And I'll cover that one more time at the very end. But we have talked about morning rituals, right? So many of our Hoist Gracie, so many people talked about how you set your day. Les Brown, how he sets his environment and how you set your day. I've always had a morning ritual. I say always for at least 20 years now. And it's moved and shifted over the years. But one of my morning rituals now is that whenever I'm working out, I listen to an app, and it's called Ignite. And it's part of a total system that started as a new calm. And Tony Robbins is involved in this company. And so this particular track brings the brain into a state of igniting and working out. And then Tony Robbins is in the background moving me into memories and spots of gratitude, moments of, fun, excitement, sensuality, and what I'm doing is stacking. He's leading me through stacking these positive, powerful emotions while I'm working my body out in the morning. And then I usually listen to that a few times, and then I'll end it with his Tony Robbins taking me through certainty and the feeling of certainty and generating that energy. And it's become now I think a year-long ritual. And that's why this next guest, Jim Poole, that I got to come on, he is taking the world on and taking the mental health and the emotional health of our children. He's taken it on himself and his brother to help spread the ability for us to go to incredible places in our minds, in our hearts, in our energy, to down regulate the nervous system, to repair the body, to deal with stress. And I just want him to pop on for 10. We're probably going to have about 10 minutes together. So thank you, Jim. I know you've been traveling. You were all over London. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I was over London. I was in Wales. I was in Paris, back to London, and I got home yesterday, and I'm here.
Yeah, and you're always hanging out. You had dinner with Tony Robbins the other day. You're always hanging out with the coolest people. FBI, I know New Calm, the original reason that you started this whole piece, that it's used by 54 sports teams. It's used by the FBI, CIA, that all of these different people to deal with PTSD, people in 4-stage cancer, that you have done a lot of really great work. So I'd love for you to talk, again, we have about 10 minutes, but about what's going on in the world and why we need and tools we can use right now to calm
10
ourselves.
minutes. Thank
I
you,
know.
Laura. I got
I
this.
know.
So
I know.
closers in the house, the closers in the house. So I have been in business and running businesses for 29 years. Before I started running this company 14 years ago, I was doing private equity, Wall Street, M&A for other large banks. And so 15 years ago, 20 years ago, if I had access to brain science and neuroscience, what would I want to know? That's what I'm going to share with you for the next 10 minutes. So first and foremost, since the history of humankind, since the dawn of our evolution, we have either discovered or created ways to change our state. We have a very low capability of changing our state ourselves, and we don't even think about this. But if we want to feel excited today, this afternoon is 2:15 Eastern time on Saturday, and it's a rainy day, I might drink espresso or have a Red Bull or 5-Hour Energy or some kind of accelerant that simply just increases my brainwave. If I'm having a tough day and I want to kind of relax my mind and get out of psychic pain, I may have a sip of alcohol. And it's amazing the power of alcohol because it binds to the GABA receptor site and it creates what's called anxiolysis. It relaxes our brain chemistry. If I'm having anxiety, I may go to a doctor and he may give me an anti-anxiety. If I'm having depressive issues, I may take an antidepressant. If I'm having sleep issues, I may take a sleeping pill. We don't think about this, but the human brainwave function basically dictates our behavior. And the human brainwave function on a daily basis oscillates in a 41 hertz frequency range. And there are 5 categories: delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. And where your brain is oscillating, your body is doing something. One of the cool things about neuroscience is there's a finite mathematical model to it. So if your brainwave is oscillating at 1 hertz in deep delta, we know what you're doing. It's not up for debate. You are in dreamless like deep sleep and your body's healing. If your brain is oscillating above deep sleep in theta, your body is healing. If your body's in alpha, you're in the creative, relaxed, kind of beginning to sleep, get into a lucid dream state. And then in beta, you're functioning, you're either focused or you're stressed, you're highly stressed, or you're out of your mind in fight or flight. And then gamma is high intensity, mistake-free focus. So the brain is a passive observer of our environment. We're not active in our mental state. What does that mean? The cerebellum and the hypothalamus create your brainwave function. And it does this by looking around. So I was in Wales and I did several lectures in mental health. Then I was in London and I was training Premier League soccer clubs, football. And then I'm in Paris and I'm doing some work with musicians, etc. So wherever I'm traveling, my brain is looking at my environment and saying, okay, you need to be a little stressed here because you got on a train there, or you need to be a little chill here because it's quiet, you're in a boardroom, whatever. So you kind of get the idea. So how we operate is not necessarily what we intend to be. Our brain and how it's wired is basically a passive observer of our environment. That's number one. Number two, our brain evolution and the wiring of our brain is really important that we understand, but very few people are ever taught any of this. So I'm going to start with evolution 101, 40 million years ago. 40 million years ago, the reptile part of our brain began to evolve, and the neuronal circuitry and all the neurons, etc., started to be created. And this part of our brain evolved in what's called the autonomic nervous system, which governs stress versus rest. It also governs fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry, fight, flight, or freeze. It's a really important element to our survival. This part of our brain, the autonomic nervous system, some people call the reptile brain or the lizard brain, which doesn't sound that higher conscious, and it's not. It is survival, and it is fear-based, and it is managed by a little piece in your brain the size of an almond. It's called the amygdala. So that part of our brain is 40 million years evolved. And I would caution you to not see extemporaneously how just amazing 40 million years is, because it's really hard to understand what that means. Think back to the last 3 years. Think back to what your life was like in February of 2020 before the onset of COVID and kind of our whole life shifts. Think about how much you've learned. Think about how much resilience you've created. Think about how much adaptation you've done in just 3 years. Now extrapolate that 3 years of knowledge to 40 million years. So if you don't think that this autonomic nervous system, reptile brain managed by the amygdala in your midbrain isn't a perfectly architected system, you're not given the humility and appreciation of the brain as it deserves. So that's that part of our brain. This part of our brain, and I know Dora loves this part, our prefrontal and frontal cortex, separates us from primates. This part of our brain is our executive functioning, our logic, our patience, our presence, our character, our emotional well-being, and our ability to kind of think. This part of our brain, ladies and gentlemen, is 4 million years evolved. 4 million. That means that every minute of every hour of every day, we are battling a 36 million year head start that fear, stress, anxiety, depression, and worry has over us. And in our brain, it's about resource allocation. And so for those of you running businesses, especially in manufacturing, you understand resource allocation and operational efficiencies. Everything is about oxygen-rich red blood. Now, your central nervous system is designed to protect us, fight, flight, take care of us. It is always evaluating our area and circumstances and environment for familiarity and security. And when it feels threatened or it doesn't have an anchor, doesn't know where we are, it activates the amygdala. And all of our blood flow leaves here and goes to the amygdala, to the HPA axis, to our visceral organs, and we prepare and mobilize to protect ourselves. The reason I'm sharing this with you is so that you can better understand the neuronal circuitry. And the fact is, more often than not, we're not really in control of our thought patterns and our behavioral issues, okay? And as an entrepreneur, the stress associated with an entrepreneur and the inspiration and the pathological optimism that must be true so that you can keep going. No one's going to believe in you more than you're going to believe in yourself, and you need to have that persistent, determined approach. But here's the reality. A lot of times, in fact, yesterday I was just speaking to one of our business executives who said, listen, you are mediocre to failing on almost every front in your life right now because you've lost sense of balance. So you're not doing well to yourself and to your health. You're not doing well to your family. You're not doing well to your friends. You're not doing well to the business because you are overextended. That creates a lot of stress. And that stress resolves in the amygdala taking resources from here. So it is paramount that as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, whatever you're doing, it is paramount that you understand the need to balance and the need for recovery, sleep, so that you have the resiliency and the blood flow here to be your best self. Now, I get the opportunity, as Adora said, to work with a lot of really cool people. Some of the best work we do is with some of the sickest people who really have no voice and really need it and have no choice and chance, and they really need it. So when we are stressed, we are not ourselves. When we are stressed, we are not patient. When we are stressed, we're not good listeners. When we're stressed, we're not observational. When we're stressed, we're not open. When we're stressed, we're not empathetic. When we're stressed, we're not good leaders. When we're stressed, we're not good lovers. When we're stressed, we're not good parents. We're not good sons. We're not good daughters. And it's not because you should be ashamed of yourself, feel guilty, or that you're disappointing yourself. It is the wiring of the brain, the neuronal circuitry of our brain and how we work. Someone I saw said, "Hey, every morning I need a routine because I'm kind of running through the door trying to get my to-do list done." Guess what? The first thing that wakes up in your brain after cortisol gets you out of delta. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is the highest in the morning. It gets you out of delta and it gets your brainwave functioning to awake. As soon as your eyes open, the first thing that wakes up in your brain is the amygdala, the almond-shaped piece of the reptile brain that never wants you to make a mistake. It never wants you to take risks because it has a better memory than you have. It knows every time you failed, every time you've been ashamed, every time you felt guilty, whatever. So every day when we wake up as a human, we don't wake up saying, "Hey, today's gonna be a wonderful day and I'm filled with gratitude and humility and appreciation and people love me and I'm amazing." No, you wake up thinking, "Oh, I didn't call that person last night. I didn't do my to-do list today. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. That's the amygdala. So the more that you can find balance through whether it's yoga, tai chi, meditation, deep breathing, or something like New Calm, the healthier you are. And the healthier you are, the better leader you are. The better leader you are, people will follow you. People will do the right things at the right time, and your business will grow. That's kind of how this all works. So briefly, New Calm is based on 33 years of clinically proven patented neuroscience. We brought to market in 2009 a Class 3 FDA medical device designed to safely and reliably downregulate your sympathetic tone, which is your stress response, into the healing state by physics, by algorithms and mathematics in a neuroacoustic software platform that's laid over with music. So you listen to something and you have to do basically nothing. You just give us time, a headphone, and a mobile app, and we will take your brain to any place. How powerful is New Calm? We've done over 2 million surgical procedures replacing general anesthesia with people being cut open listening to our physics. We have worked with the Department of Defense and the veteran community, the Special Forces, the FBI, et cetera, for 13 years. The world's top athletes, thousands of doctors, pilots, et cetera. This is the most powerful patented, clinically proven technology, and it is the only patent in the world for lowering your stress without drugs. So for me personally, I'm not going to do yoga. I'm not going to find time to do Tai Chi. I love martial arts, but Tai Chi wasn't really my jam. And I'm not going to do things to take care of myself. So what I do is 20 minutes or 30 minutes a day. I get in my bed, put an eye mask on, choose a rescue selection, and my brain just goes into theta, restores me, makes me feel patient, present, allows me to do a better job, be more efficient with my time and my mental calories. And then at night, I use deep sleep. So check it out. www.newcalm.com, NUCALM. We used to be a $6,000 highly regulated FDA medical device. Now, in November of 2021, we successfully transitioned to a consumer product, to a mobile app, and we are able to help a lot more people and simply allow you to have the power of your brain in the palm of your hand. If you want to be jacked up and filled with gratitude in the morning like Adora, listen to Ignite with Tony Robbins. If you want to be rescued, like I'm going to be working with stage 4 cancer folks on Monday, you're going to do rescue, you're going to do deep sleep, whatever you want. We have found the trick for you to take control over managing your state as opposed to having to drink alcohol or coffee or antidepressants, etc. So there you go. Be your best self, manage your stress, get your sleep, get out of the vicious negative cycle of high stress, poor sleep, which does not serve you well, and have the humility and self-belief and gratitude for yourself to take better care of yourself.
I'm gonna ask you a question or two, and can we put the link in the chat, Lisa, or across the screen, NUCALM.com, newcalm.com. I'm going to ask you some questions about business, but before I do, I did use Rescue today, and I've been using it 3 days a week because, Jim, you've told me, Adora, you run on go, go, go. You need some down regulation. However, I will say that every time I do Rescue, I start waking up a little before. Today I did the 50 minutes, and I think I needed the full 50 minutes because I just woke up like 5 minutes before it was over. And you say that's when my system is balanced. We have talked a lot about the balance in a world where we're always rebalancing ourselves, and most entrepreneurs are living an out of balance life. Anyone really creating is, entrepreneurs work more than 9 to 5. They do more. They're thinking of more. They're holding more in general. They're thinking of the payroll of somebody else while that person's on vacation thinking, how do I get a raise? Right. And so the new calm piece is very important, but I believe that part of why I am balanced is because even though Ignite is the energetic state of lifting, the vocals of Tony moving me, and then I'm bringing forward holding my daughter and the first time we made eye contact. I'm bringing forward, Dennis Waitley and Brian Tracy, celebrating together. I'm bringing forward moments where I was laughing so hard, which is the practice that is happening. That has an effect, even though I'm going up, right? It releases. What does it release? That also, what does gratitude release?
Endorphins and oxytocin. Gamma is commensurate with higher consciousness. So there is an activation of your gross motor cortex, your sensory motor rhythm. You definitely activate, and we're bringing your brainwave function from 15 hertz to 40 hertz. In the last 3 minutes, we call pure warrior brain. There's value in that because you are mentally acute. When you get out of your workout and you've listened to Tony with gratitude on top of our physics, you're definitely feeling good for a couple hours because we've gotten rid of the distractions in your head. We've gotten rid of your insecurities, your expectations, your overwhelm, your self-doubt, and we put you in a state of unstoppable absolute certainty. So for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, in 2018, Tony Robbins and I trained the Golden State Warriors together for 5 hours in Oakland. And we had built the most powerful platform that can literally take your brainwave function from 15 hertz to 40 hertz. And in 40 hertz, called gamma, it elicits consciousness, and they've shown PEMF of brains of monks showing, hey, this is higher consciousness stuff. But also, interestingly enough, at that state of high frequency, you're activating your gross motor cortex, your sensory motor rhythm, your olfactory and peripheral vision. So for 7 years in confidence, we work with the Department of Defense and basically put them in a state of high performance, unstoppable certainty so that they don't make any mistakes and nobody dies that shouldn't unnecessarily die. So yeah, no, there's definitely value in that. The only caveat for you, Adora, is that at some point, if you don't restore, get the balance, get the sleep you need, and get rescue, you're going to be sucking from a tank that essentially at some point wears out. It's called adrenal fatigue, and then your hormones transition and they compromise. There's a lot of negative consequences to that. So we can't always just take from the well of adrenaline because a lot of us love to feed off that. Some of us get up in the morning and we fast and we don't eat, but we drink coffee. Coffee elicits cortisol, and then we wonder why we're holding on to visceral fat because our body is constantly using the stress hormone. So there's a lot of different areas here. And I would definitely recommend to any entrepreneur, because it's not just the stress and the constant worry, it's the isolation. If you're a good leader, you're not sharing your concerns with the people that are following you. You're not saying, hey, this person's not pulling their weight. You keep a lot of secrets to yourself. And, when things aren't looking that good, that expectation, that overwhelm, you don't really share that at home either. So there's a lot of stress that we internalize in addition to the stress of the world. So yeah, highly recommend. I mean, we've been working with business professionals, and Tony and I have been around the world together. We've turned New Calm on to a lot of business professionals, a lot of type A driven, hard driven people that at some point in your 40s and 50s, when your body starts to break down and inflammation starts to be more dominant, they're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I do need more than 4 hours of sleep, and maybe I do need recovery, and maybe this is part, and maybe that is the intangible. When people say balance, maybe that's what they're talking about.
Well, I definitely am getting New Calm in. I said 3 was the goal. I'm getting in 2 or 3 times a week. And I have hot baths. I have different ways. I go introverted. So I'm extroverted, but I have my introverted, I walk around the lake. I look at the birds. I have different ways that I'm tapping, that I'm taking that advice that you're giving me. But I love how powerful. I think when I first met you, it was like you get to be a warrior, but your brain goes into monk state and you don't have to spend years learning or years in an ashram somewhere staring at the wall, watching the particles, which can be fun and trippy, but most people have other things that they need to do, want to do with themselves. Oh, you're frozen. Okay, unfrozen. So you guys check out New Calm 100%. This is become a major part of my morning, to the point that, like, even when Rudy and I are working out together, he'll be like, hey, oh, okay, you're still all right. And I'm like, don't disrupt my state. I'm right here. I'm holding my baby while I'm pumping weights, it's become really really great part of my routine. And then moving, activates all kinds of other stuff. So I love that combo together. And then I love rescue, and I know it's a gift to the world. So Jim, thank you for who you are, for your stance in the world. We're going to be setting up some VIPs, so I'll check your schedule and see if we can have a Q&A with you at some point for our VIPs over the next couple of weeks. If it doesn't work, it's all right. But I love and appreciate you. I love your family, and look forward to hanging out again soon at some stage in the world.
Much love,
something.
everybody.
All right. What'd you do? Bye. Okay.
Boom.
Bye.
Take care of yourself, everybody. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye. Awesome. All right, everybody. So we're wrapping this part. We've got the VIP up there because VIP hasn't even started. But I love the feed your forehead. Didn't you love that? It's like, breathe. If you've ever felt that moment where you're like, I wasn't myself, I was watching myself yell or freeze or whatever, and that he's like, the personality lives right here in the forehead. So feed the forehead, breathe, come back into that identity. Very, very powerful. And I really do. Every day that you see a post of me working out, that 99.99% of the time, a New Calm session or Ignite session was right before that. And it really does set the tone for the day. Yeah. I recommend using it. It's one thing to be like, oh, I'm going to be grateful. I'm grateful for my food, my house, my health, but you actually pull forward these moments that you've had and you've experienced. And I'm going to tell you, I've been at it probably a year now, and that stacking and other things that pulled up that I forgot about, like being a little girl. And there was a time when I had a little kitten and a little puppy in my shirt and walking around with it, and just things you don't even think about, but that began to stack and remind you of how great your life actually has been and how full. And it also conditions you to really take in the moments when they're happening. It's really, really very cool. So Tony, I definitely recommend getting that. So I'm going to pull up, the VIP can stay there. We're going to put in the chat. I don't think it should go across, Lisa, because people won't be able to click that long chat. I've opened a few sessions for people who have questions about that. And then across, we'll put that the offer. I'm going to pull the offer up one more time. That we put together for those of you who want to take you'll be able to watch the replays. VIP will have them all in one place within a couple of weeks time. We're editing them down and getting them in an area for you. But Eric and I went, and Les Brown, we went, what can we do to get behind entrepreneurs? But our first reason for pulling together our expertise and doing all of this is that we are really we are behind a place called the Harbor in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That is an interception. It intercepts, rehabs, and houses children who have been sex trafficked or from sex trafficking. It prevents it here in the US. And how it prevents it is that in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a child cannot check themselves into a shelter unless they have an adult present, right? 18 or younger. They have to have an adult agree. And runaways, there's a lot of runaways in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the statistics are that 1 in 5 end up stolen into sex trafficking, child trafficking, and 1 in 3 are enticed in because they need a warm meal, they need a place to stay, they need a community, and then the whole thing starts, the drugging, the brainwashing, all that stuff. And only 1% of children that are taken in the US into that are ever found again. And right now, the US is the #1 consumer of child trafficking. And so for me, like, that's just, it's not okay. And I know for you too, it's not okay. And I'm one of those people that when it's not okay, it's not okay. And we got to do something about it. Right. And so Les Brown, Livia Fisher Kane, who you all met last time, Project Uprise, myself, and Eric, we went, okay, how can we empower entrepreneurs, give them crazy awesome value, take some of our best work, our best material, and then take the majority of that profit. And so these ticket sales, 100% goes to forwarding this cause. And how do we fund that shelter? So that, because right now, that drop-in center, the harbor, it closes at 9 p.m. and it's open 5 days a week. So our goal is that it's open 24/7 for an entire year. And so that's what we're playing for, both with this live event in Atlanta, with this event that we're doing here, is how do we give you value in areas that are really going to give you ROI on your investment if you participate. And, you know, we'll pull that forward. We're absolutely committed to do that, and then move more of the dollars and knock down this goal and support these children. So that's, you know, you could be spending this money anywhere. You could spend it individually with me, individually with Eric. But this, you're going to spend more, for one, because we've bulked some things together. And two, this money is going to the harbor and to the cause of, you know, funding them for a year. And you'll know that. So the first thing you'll get is your name on this legacy. You'll get the t-shirt, the hoodie, this poster, and you could put it in your name. You could put it in a child's name, a grandparent's name, someone, a company name. But this is going to be worn by our celebrities, influencers, fighters. We have a lot of different people that are going to be taking pictures in this. So it's pretty cool, you know, legacy piece, and to show your children what contribution, you know, looks like, or the people you care about. You're going to get 2 tickets to an online event. It's part of when I'm working with private clients or I'm teaching in my mastermind, it's 5 days online. It's broken up. But we're going into how can you become rich with connections? How can you learn to connect at a super high level, authentically, and create these powerful strategic alliances and collaborations and connections that will move your business forward? Like just the connections we brought here alone. If you had these people in your ecosystem, which now you do, even if you don't go forward with us, you have them in your ecosystem to be able to go get a licensing deal, to be able to go get funding or figure out how to be positioned to do that, to know how to, you know, do so many different things that we covered here, from webinars to courses to all this stuff, to be able to scale. So we're going to have that. Plus you get, because of a mistake, but I keep my word, you're going to get a 2-day ticket to my Profitable Connections. This is where I'm going to show you, you know, the scripts. How do you say it? How do you elegantly work yourself into deal flows for those of you that are already connectors or who may be great at connecting and you have this huge network, but you don't know how to create profit from some of that. And, you're not going to make every connection profitable. I have so many connections and I make connections that have nothing to do with that. But for those of you that are connectors, that can be an extra stream of income. And it could be just a matter of an introduction and being able to say, and have the paperwork for how do you elegantly work into those deals. So we're going to deep dive into the scripts, the how to, the when not to, all that kind of stuff. And that was birthed out of connectors going, oh my gosh, how do you do that? I connect all the time too. All right. And we're going to, in June, Eric is doing a 3-day event you have VIP access to. This is one of his paid events, 100K in 100 days, which he said it's been 7 years since he's had, for 7 years, he's had at least 100K months, right? So we're not just talking about 100K a year, we're talking about 100K month. So he's going to take you 100K in 100 days. He's had $1 million days now, right? And you'll have VIP access, which is super cool. And then 2 tickets to the 1-day event, August 19th in Atlanta. There are going to be less than 100 people in attendance. This will be very intimate with the legend himself, Mr. Les Brown, with Eric Sorensen, with Jessa, with myself being wing gal and connecting people up. You're going to, and I'm more than a wing gal, but I am a super wing gal. Like I love hooking people up with each other. And I learned how to make it rain financially by doing that. But it is something that I just do so naturally and is in my wheelhouse. So I'll be there advocating, connecting, networking. We're going to have business funding. We're going to have, it looks like Microsoft. They're looking at fintech opportunities and collaboration opportunities. So there will be deals that are made. There will be relationships that happen. And by the time you get there, if you take this offer, you're going to be if you haven't already done 100K, you will be very well on your way. This is not it's less than 100 days away, but you'll be in motion with Eric on that. So this offer, when we did this before in January, it was more than a 10K or right at a 10K offer. We decided to make this a $2,500 package, which is outrageous. That's outrageous because any one of these things alone easily is 2,500 or more. And we're giving you 2 tickets to each thing. So, we just went all in going, what can we do to move this cause forward? What can we do to move you forward? What can we do to be outrageously generous with our time, with our energy, with our resources so that you win and you can move into even more generosity that you're already at. And also make a difference for these children. And we have other surprise speakers that'll be coming. I'm not sharing that now. But if this is calling to you, I want you to book this, acceleratemylegacy.com. And then we have another link we're going to put in the chat. If you could do that for me, Lisa. I sent it out. What is it? Right here. Let me see if I can copy, because I think Lisa is actually with her kids. Let me put it in the chat. Command V. Nope, that's not going to work. So I'll have to put it in the chat later. We'll send it out by email, but I'm going to open a few spots for those of you that are on the fence about it or need to ask a few questions. You'll also have time in VIP to ask some questions. It's not copying over for me. I see the Accelerate My Legacy and the VIP, but the one I'm talking about, you're trying to get into these events. There it is, the connection strategy. You can book me. All right. And Tiffany, you got the link to Jamie. You're trying to get to these events, right? I mean, this is an outrageous opportunity. If it wasn't my own opportunity, I'd be like figuring it out. I mean, it's just so, this is one-on-one, Tiffany, I know. And I'm going to actually go in and make sure there aren't too many spots open. That's not because I don't want to spend a lot of time with you guys, but time is our most expensive asset. And I think that calendar is pretty wide open right now. The one that is my one-on-one is the connectionstrategy.youcanbook.me. connectionstrategy.youcanbook.me. And that's for us to work through like how to get you in there, any questions that you have. I reserve these for my one-on-one clients, and even that is scheduled, because, and what's so cool about you'll see when people are operating and even when you get to my one-on-one clients are like the lowest maintenance. I was going to paste it in. You're amazing, Tiffany. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So yeah, this is in generosity. Like, what can I do? What can we do for these kids, for you? I want to share space with you. Eric wants to share space with you. We need more people winning. And you know what? Real leaders, it's not about like, oh, follow me, copy me. It's about unlocking your genius, putting a megaphone on your voice, getting your wealth in place, getting you funded, getting you licensing deals, getting you on the stages that you want to be on, because we know when we do that, we're mobilizing an army and activating an army, but the right kind for the best reasons. It's entrepreneurial activism, right? They're my soft spot too. So I just want to say that I love and appreciate you all. You've been absolutely incredible to be with. Those of you in VIP, we're going to get some time together. It's small groups on Zoom, the action takers here, right? So you'll be getting the first few. We're going to be organizing those so they're trickling out. It is surreal, right? I mean, we hung out with Hoist Gracie. We hung out with Les Brown. We hung out with so many cool. I'm loving the word outrageous lately. I love that you just use that. But we'll be having some, VIP where you can get your questions asked about, okay, am I ready for a licensing deal? How do I get that funding? You may even get funded by Courtney, right? And her company. So let us work with you. And for the rest of you, thank you. Share the replays. They're going to stay up. VIP, you'll get them in a private vortex in the next, the playlist in the next couple of weeks. And it's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege. I know who you are, and I want to know you more. And I hope that, and all of our hope is that you will take action on the things that were activated in you, and you will shine your light, because someone is praying for the mountain that you've already overcome. They're praying for your guidance. They're praying for your wisdom. They're praying for your strategy. And so when you're funded, when you're resourced, when you're full, we know that more people will be moving and climbing those mountains and knowing that they're not alone, right? And not giving up 3 feet from gold. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for your time, and lots of love. See you soon. I almost left